Hello! YouTube assures me I'm live. Whether I am or not is a totally different business. Let me know if you can hear me. In the meanwhile, look at this chat. Now, I happen to know there were a couple of people who were in earlier in the week, and it's nuked it. It's nuked that chat. YouTube has a mind of its own. But hello and welcome, everyone. Oh, hello, Debbie. Hello, Jonathan.
You are live.
That is fabulous, Kim. Kim says, I'm curious if Elaine will sound like she's talking in slow motion as I've been watching her in 1.75 all week, trying to get caught up with Notion. I don't know. Let me know, Kim. I know what you mean. I started listening to this book and I normally listen at like 2 speed, but this was particularly slow. I've ended up at 3.5 and it's just about bearable. So I know where you're coming from. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Paul. We've missed you, Paul, in Marooned. We've missed you. Hello, Pete Nanny. Good to have you with us. Who else have we got? Hello, Graham. Hello, Carol. I do hope I've not missed anyone. Hello, Paul. And Renee. And Alex. Hello. If I've missed anybody, Mike will sort me out. There you go. Mike will sort me out. Now, don't forget, Mike, I've muted you. So if you're saying hello, do you want to say hello?
I thought you muted me later.
No, I've muted you. Hang on, mouse pointer. Right, there we go. Right, say hello, Mike.
Hello.
Hey, we can all hear you now. I only did it because you were making noises. I'm in trouble now. Oh, well, never mind. That's my usual state.
Are you muting me again?
Oh, you're not muted yet. No, no, not yet. Would you like to tell me when you want to be muted? When you're likely to be making noises?
Mute me now.
Oh, mute me now. Okay, consider yourself muted. Yep, he's gone. If only we'd have had that on the dog. Been brilliant, wouldn't it? But never mind. Right.
Don't unmute me when I do my Excel bit.
I will unmute you when you're doing Excel. Until then, behave yourself. Kim says hello. Oh, I'm live. Yay. That took a bit of time. I wonder what the delay is at the moment. That feels like more than a minute. But never mind. We'll sort it all out. We'll catch up. It'll be fine. Right. I need my notes, don't I? So I know what on earth I'm doing. That'd be a start. MacBites. There we go. MacBites. And it's after hours. 1, 2, 3. And I'm starting there, aren't I? Right. That's a good place to start. Okay. So you at the moment are looking at that and you need to be looking at something different. So let me get you looking at something different and then we can swap over and everything will be fine. Except I won't be able to see the chat. I want to see the chat. I'm going to do the iPad-y thing, which sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't. Again, mind of its own. Oh, it doesn't think I'm live on the iPad. Good to know. Good to know. Why am I being bombarded with propaganda from YouTube? No, it doesn't think I'm there. How am I going to find myself, Mike? That's shocking. That's shocking. Can I just go to my channel and find myself and then see the chat? I need to see the chat.
That's what I do.
Yay! Right, I can see the chat. Oh dear, that's tiny.
There's no point me talking because I'm muted.
You're muted. No one can hear a word you say, Mike. Just forget it. Forget it. Right, I'm going to get that up and then I'm going to press some magic buttons and everything will be fine, she said. I always say that, don't I? But it's going to be. Yay! Right. Now I've got to get the mouse pointer. You know what the mouse pointer's like? Has a mind of its own, but we're good to go. Right. Okay. What do we have tonight? You know what I've done, don't you, Mike? Again. I said I'll take that unboxing off the slide, and I forgot to take the unboxing off the slide. Don't get giddy, Jonathan. Unboxing next week. Right, we've got the week at MacBites headquarters, and can I just say, yeah, we've been on holiday. So, not without incident. Not without incident. Then we've got Keyboard Maestro, an overview. This one has been requested so many times. And the problem with it, and why I've left it so long, is it only makes sense with Keyboard Maestro if you've got a need for it. So you can sit there and you can talk for hours about it. But unless you've got a need to use it, it's useless. So I've got some practical examples to share with you. All the stuff that if it wasn't there, my Mac wouldn't feel like my Mac. So I'll do an overview of what it is and how it works, but then I'll give you some really practical examples. Oh, poor Jonathan, he's crying unboxing next week again. But it'll be so worth it, Jonathan. It'll be so worth it. In fact, Jonathan, there is rumours of a new iPad on Tuesday. So, I mean, you can't say fairer than that. And I know that you're in the market for a new iPad because I know, like myself, you were in the market for a new iPad last March. And you put it off like I did. I don't know whether it's actually going to happen, of course, but who knows? Then Mike's doing infographics. Yes, graphics in Excel. I'm going to sit back and really enjoy this. Then we've got Notion 2021. It's our final session. It's the grand tour. So bring all your questions with it. Bring all your questions. I'm reading there from Graham. Going to get rid of busy Cal and busy contacts. Did this have anything to do with the show at all, Graham? Fantastical for calendar, non-subscription, and Card Hop for contacts. Do you know, I've got Card Hop for contacts. The Fantastical one, I think whatever you got if you didn't take the subscription. So there was some kind of hybrid approach where you had the last version and they gave you some free bits. That's what I've got. So, tell me what you thought of that bit on the show. Debbie is in the market for a new iPad Pro. Would that be the 11 or the 12.9? I think I've virtually convinced myself I've got to go for the 12.9 because I use it for demos. But personally, I'd rather have an 11. So, problems. I might yet seek the sage advice of Jane, who last time said, why don't you buy both? So I did. There we go. Right, we're broadcasting 1080p, as you all know. But YouTube has other ideas. So I will open up the mic, as it were, so you can tell us what we win.
Me.
You.
HD 1080.
Oh, well done, Mike. How is everybody else? How has YouTube treated everybody else? Let me know in the chat. Always hysterical. Right, while you're down in that cog in the lower right-hand side, if you enjoy the show, can you give us a like? It really makes a difference with YouTube. So, how did our holiday go? Well, as we said, it was a busman's holiday. Saturday, we had 9 music shows on Brooklyn's 196, and then we did a Marooned, and then we went straight into Brooklyn's by request. We were a little concerned, I think, about the theme, which was seasons. But we needn't have worried. It was amazing. Lots of new songs that we've not heard before that were fantastic. And we all had a complete ball. Feel free to join us. We're doing it all again tomorrow, where the theme is space, something and stars. Space travel. You see, stars and planets. There you go. So you're not really limited. And then on Sunday, well, Sunday, of course, was Easter. We didn't have one Easter egg. We were so good, weren't we? We were. Mike, however, decided to risk a match, and it all fared fairly well. But if you look at the numbers, it didn't start well. Bad words were muttered during the live Marooned at MacBites headquarters when Brighton went one ahead after only 13 minutes. And I've got a sneaking suspicion that Brighton are like bottom of the league, if not beyond that. However, after deploying the toilet trick, Mike managed to ensure they pulled it back and won 2-1. If you have never heard of the toilet trick, that is where you take one for your team and you leave the room, you go to the toilet, and when you come back, they'll have scored and you will have missed it. But it's okay, because that's what happened with the equaliser. And then they won. So he was quite happy. Now, Monday, there was a lot going on Monday. There was. On Monday, we started our holiday with a proper challenge. You know when you leave something for 3 months and then you've got no clue how you did the job? That. Not to mention, in 3 months, just imagine how many apps have developed issues for which read they are broken. So for the entirety of Monday, we were tweaking and fiddling and documenting processes. Oh, we love a holiday, we do. On Tuesday, it was going to be the test of our endeavours. The new processes were going to be needed for all we did on Monday. But what for, I hear you ask? Well, before we answer that question, here is an example of the kind of thing that occupies our days here at MacBites headquarters. Mike headed into the garden on Tuesday with Lola for a potty break. For Lola, not Mike, obviously, although I felt I needed to make that clear. He found a cooked chunk of chicken on a flagstone next to my car. First thought, someone's out to poison the dog. Now, if you think that sounds paranoid, there's a spate of that right now, and it's happened before when Mayo was here. So, a cooked lump of chicken in your garden. Now, bearing in mind our garden, totally fenced off. The only way that could have got there was if somebody had thrown it in. So, Mike said, can we surveil this? So, our manual surveillance discovered absolutely nothing. All was secure at MacBites headquarters. We were going to have to deploy the CCTV. CCTV replay was called for. We hooked into the nearest camera. Now, bearing in mind, by this stage, it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. Mike said, I think it happened at 8 o'clock this morning. So I wound the camera back to 8 o'clock. This was going to be a long day, wasn't it? It wasn't there at 8 o'clock. I said, I'll take it on an hour. It wasn't there at 9 either. Or 10, or 11, or 12, or 1, or 2, or 3. So by this stage, I'm like, really? Exactly, the frozen chicken's been cooked. Somebody's nicked it and cooked it. We went forward. 3 o'clock, not there. 3:30, it was there. Let's back up to 3:15, not there. In the end, we found it. We saw it land in the garden at 3:10. But we could see the chicken. We could not see who threw it. We needed a different angle. We watched on another camera. We synchronised it to 3:10. Did I mention this is how our days go here? We synchronised it to 3:10. We saw something. I spotted a fleeting shadow. What was that? But there was nobody there. It gets spookier. Back to camera 1 we went. And there it was. Mystery solved. Who did the deed? A bird flew over and dropped it in the garden. We couldn't see the bird until the bird was in the distance, but we saw a shadow of the bird drop it. Seriously? What the actual... Living here is, what's the word I'm groping for? An adventure at best. So that's time I won't ever get back again, trying to find out what was going on there. Anyway, back to those new procedures, the new processes, and why we needed them. Well, all was revealed on Wednesday, when we entered the studio to record, drumroll please, a new MacBites. What could possibly derail our plans at this stage? Glad you asked. Our intrepid investigative agent was delirious to discover the perfect accompaniment to the roast chicken that had arrived as manna from heaven the day before. 6 eggs on the pavement. She checked every one. Seriously, on the pavement. It's like living in a zoo. So that was Thursday. That was Wednesday. The eggs weren't exactly in the best condition, but still the food madness at MacBites headquarters continues apace. What will we get next week? Do put in the chat some suggestions of things we might find, and we'll let you know. That took us on to Thursday. So Wednesday was incredibly busy because Thursday was the big day. Doesn't happen often. 3 months, I think. But it was MacBites Day, and we were on a busman's holiday to the finish line in Butler's Jim Jams. If you have not heard it, where have you been? It is an hour 32 of well, we found it funny, so much so, we lost it in the middle of a piece and just giggled our way through it. So hopefully if you've heard it, you enjoyed it, and if not, you will catch up over the weekend. That's exactly what I thought, Peter. We now know which came first, the chicken first and then the egg. So we've at least solved that mystery, haven't we? Can't wait to see what happens next week. Now, while you were all enjoying yourselves, if you listened on MacBites FM, while this was premiering, Mike decided he'd go watch the football. Now, having won one in a week, he was pushing it, wasn't he? But, glorious. It was only the first leg of 2, but United are 2-0 ahead, and that was away from home. Do away goals still count double?
Yeah.
Oh, good, they do. So he was another happy bunny, which took us on to today. So I thought, Friday, week at MacBites headquarters. Holiday, quiet week, did I mention? Oh, yes, there was that, wasn't there, I thought. So, Conegate, week 5, update. If you remember, this time last week, we left week 4, action replay, where the cone had been moved. So we started off with a cone. Then we got that funny cover thing. And then the cone migrated to the wall. So I said to Mike this morning, where are we at with Conegate? Because I know nobody's been to do anything. You think it's been there now 5 weeks. It'll be there at least 8 before somebody does anything. You'd think, well, why don't you just come the week before and put it out? But no. Anyway, that was last week. Spotted from our intrepid location this morning, we thought. That looks like it's moved. The cone has now moved and is with the manhole cover. There are no words. That is the big update. Note the sarcasm. The cone has moved. It's all right. Lola investigated this development thoroughly. Seriously. Possibly a little too thoroughly. Yes, that's not her natural colour. But she was very happy being filthy. She has since been washed. I could honestly say she's less happy than she was then. But as I looked at said cone and its brethren, I thought, that reminds me of the old "We Wanna Be Together" Prudential advert that we talked about on Marooned at MacBites headquarters this week. If you have no clue what we're talking about, it is an advert with Mark Williams there. It was from 1991. And at the end of the advert, the phrase, "We want to be together," became a meme before we even knew what a meme was. And the cone and the manhole cover, well, they want to be together. Somehow, Tesco managed to arrive in the midst of all this. And if you were with us on Marooned at MacBites headquarters, you will be aware of the fact that poor Mike, when they'd been, was somewhat tired when they left. He had to drag everything in, clean it all, wash it all, stack it all. So he came back up totally exhausted, poor boy. So he's having a rest while I do the first bit, and then we'll get the Excel bit, because it's 2-show Friday. Tell me, it gets weirder by the minute, doesn't it? I wish we were lying with this and making it up for you, but we're not. That's genuine. That is all totally genuine. Low-flying chicken wings. I wonder if it was carrying a brethren for a funeral or something. Because where would it have got the cooked chicken from? No, that occupied us for the first half of the week. Where did the chicken get the chicken from? Where did the bird get the chicken from that landed in the garden? At least it landed in the garden on the slab next to my car and not on my car. It could have been much, much, much worse. There you go. Right, we're looking at Keyboard Maestro. This one has been requested so much, and I've put it off because, as I've said, it only makes sense. It would be a very difficult thing to learn if you don't have a reason to use it. It's one of those things where as soon as you've got a reason to use it, you'll think, Keyboard Maestro will do that, and off you'll go. But other than that, you would find yourself trying to find a job for it. But Keyboard Maestro is fantastic. It really is an amazing application. I've used it for many, many years. We are up to version 9 now. And it's macOS only, unfortunately. So if we've got any Windows users with us, there are a couple of alternatives for Windows. There is Fast Keys, which I've actually heard of. In something that I was listening to, the guy said Fast Keys, and I thought, what's that? Because it was on Windows. And there's another one called AutoIt. I've used neither, but apparently auto it is where it's at. So fast keys and auto it. Now back to Keyboard Maestro for the Mac. It's £36. It is non-subscription, so you pay for a version and you use that version until you want another version. $36, I meant, not pounds. $36. If you are upgrading from any previous version, it is $25. And it works with every Mac OS back to 10.11, which was El Capitan. Hated the name there, El Capitan. Now, we have looked at it on After Hours once before, but only in relation to trying to get the Elgato Stream Deck set up. Now, I would break down in the categories here. Do we have Windows users and MacBites? We do, because some people join us because they've got an iPad, but they have an iPad and Windows. You see, when we called it MacBites, and I will admit, we contemplated Applebytes, but decided on MacBites. There was no such thing as an iPad or an iPhone. So if you were a Mac user, you probably had a Mac. If you had Apple Kit, it was probably a Mac. Right, so I look at this in two ways with Keyboard Maestro. It does two things, two categories of things. So the first thing is adding functionality to an application. So you have an application and you would like it to do something and it doesn't do it. Or if it does, it's a sequence of steps and you have to throw out, 6 or 7 commands to make it do something. So adding functionality to something. The other thing it does, and I spend most of my life in this side of things, obviously, fixing stuff. And what I mean by fixing stuff is, I'm sure you've all had it. You've got an application and it's working fine, and then they bring out an update and all of a sudden something's broken. And it could be something simple, or it could be something that is affecting you badly until they fix it. This actually happened to me this week with Ulysses. They broke the backup system. That was a long, complicated story, but in essence of which they broke the backup system. So things like that happen. And I use my first thought is I'll go to Keyboard Maestro and I'll make it fix it. So I'm going to show you practical things that I use on a daily basis that fall into both of those categories, where I've added functionality to an application or I've fixed an application. So I'm going to start off with one where I fixed it. Now, I briefly mentioned last week that I was using Craft, which is our note-taking app, and the forward delete key is broken. Not even joking. Now, there's a reason that the forward delete key is broken. Craft is relatively new and it was designed for iPad. It was written for iPad. And Apple introduced a mechanism by which you can take code that was created for the iPad and port it to the Mac. And it's called Mac Catalyst. And that's the type of app that Craft is. It is a Mac Catalyst app. Now, if we look at the Apple page, all about Mac Catalyst, you can see it was designed for Mac OS Big Sur, Biggles to you and I. And I'm not on Biggles yet. I have Biggles on a laptop, a MacBook Air, but I don't have it on my primary Mac at the moment. That is what's causing the problem. The error that is inside Craft, the problem, is because the app is a Catalyst app. Apple are aware of it, that if you press the forward delete key, so if you have a full keyboard, like I do with a numeric keypad, the forward delete key is in the block of 9 above the arrow keys. If you have a standard keyboard, you don't have a forward delete. To do that, you would have to hold down the function key and use the backspace key. But the impact on you would be exactly the same, and that is that forward delete or function backspace will delete a random number of characters. So imagine that you're typing something and your cursor is there. Well, I'll actually show it you, but your cursor's there and you want to delete a lowercase letter to put a capital in. Then you use the forward delete key. I've been doing it for 40 years. That's the problem. I can't train my brain not to use it. And it's broken. So how did I use Keyboard Maestro to fix it? Let's go have a look. Right, so first of all, we are going to need to see Craft and actually see what the problem is. So to do that, I'm actually going to have to open up lots and lots and lots of windows. So what I'm going to do first, before I do all that, is actually show you Keyboard Maestro. So this is Keyboard Maestro. What it does, it enables you to create system-wide macros, if you like. Macros being a word for a little piece of automation. Okay. Oh, what's the golden nugget, Peter? How many seats to Keyboard Maestro? Kim, that's a brilliant question. As many as you like. It synchronises its data with Dropbox, and you can install... Well, when I say as many as you like, they're not going to complain at 2, 3 or 4. I have it on mine, and they're very generous with the license. And because it synchronises with Dropbox, it's intended to be installed on more than one. And the beauty of all that is if you look at all of the macros that I've got here in groups, these are the individual groups on the left-hand side. And in the middle, I've got the actual macros within those groups. So if we look at all the macros, all of them, there's all this lot. And I don't need to do this on a per machine basis. I can actually do this synchronizing via Dropbox. So you will not have a problem with that. I need to know what the golden nugget was that I mentioned. Oh, I definitely need to know that. Function backspace, you did not know that. Ah, well, there you go. That I must admit drives me insane because I'm used to a full keyboard. But on the occasion you find me on a laptop and I want to forward delete, then it's function backspace. Right, so what we're looking at here is all of the macros that I have, and they are grouped together. So first you have a smart group, which is all your macros. Then you've got all the macros that are enabled. So if you look at this one, some of them are dimmed out. I've got a snappy app toggle, I've got activate the application launcher, all kinds of stuff, but these are the ones that are enabled. So these are the ones that I've actually got. I use these all the time. And look, every single one's got a shortcut key, and I know every single one of them. It's very sad. Very, very sad. Right, but in here you will find applications like this, and then you will find a macro or macros. And what I'm doing with this is automating things. So if you look what I've got over here, what I'm saying is anytime I press this key, which is all of the extension keys, so it is Shift, Control, Option and Command and E, what I want you to do is go to the menu, which it says the front application, that would be Adobe Audition. And then basically I'm saying to it, click the button. Click File, Export, Audio within range markers, and then do it. And that's it. All I'm doing is allocating a shortcut key to a function in an application. But because I am always exporting audio within range markers, if I'm using Audition, it's something that I would like on a shortcut key. So that's why I would bother to program it. Now, you might say to me, well, just a minute, I don't need Keyboard Maestro for that. And indeed you don't. If you go into your system preferences and into your keyboard, there's keyboard, and you go into shortcuts, you have all of this in here. So you've got your launchpad and dock shortcuts and your display shortcuts and all of the other shortcuts, and there's hundreds of them. Okay. Down the bottom, you have app shortcuts. So one thing I could have done was I could have clicked the button here, and instead of saying all applications, I could have chosen an application. Now, I can't actually choose Adobe Audition because I haven't got it installed on this machine. But I could choose any of these applications and then add a shortcut in. Any of them. And I just specify the shortcut underneath. You want to see what that looks like? I've actually added Save as PDF. And I've allocated a shortcut to that of Control and S. I also have this Scrivener one, so I've added Scrivener as an application, and I've created 2 shortcut keys. We will be returning to these later. So what I could do in here is add all of these applications and put the shortcut keys in there. But that will only work if it's a simple shortcut key. So if I want to save as a PDF and I want to use Control and S, that's fine. That's not a problem. But if I want to get any more intelligent with that, then I can't. All I can do is allocate it a shortcut key. But it's one way to do it. The benefit of doing it in here is if I do that in here, wherever we see that menu, Save as PDF, we will see the shortcut for it right next to it. When I create a shortcut key in here, like this 4 extension keys and E, we don't see that in the application. So that's the difference between the two. But this is very basic. The other difference, which you may need to think about, particularly if you've got more than one Mac, that is anything that you set up in here stays in here. There's no way to export it or configure it with Dropbox or anything else either. If you want to set something up in here, you've got to do it manually. So if I had added all these 5,000 macros into here, if they were only shortcut keys, my problem would be when I set up a new Mac, I've got to take screenshots and then do it all manually. Whereas even if it's a simple, let's just allocate a shortcut key, which this one is, if I do it in Keyboard Maestro, it's backed up to Dropbox, and when I install Keyboard Maestro on another Mac and I hook it up, all of the shortcut keys that I'm used to are instantly available. So there is a benefit to using Keyboard Maestro, even when there is a system alternative, because it makes it easier down the line. But what we have is the ability to hook into an individual application or multiple applications and script something to happen. But when I say script something to happen, you might think I mean the script editor. So what do we have here? We have, let's tag something with MacBites. There's some script. Not used that since 2017. Have another way to do it, okay? But that's a script. That's not what we mean. We don't mean looking at code like that. The whole thing happens in this pane over here. And it is all done by search and drag and drop. And all you need to do is put in like the little nuanced bits that you need to actually tell it what to do. So I need to give it the shortcut key, but I don't need to know any syntax that says, I'm going to send you a shortcut key. We will just add that. Okay. So at this stage, all I'm doing is giving you an overview of what is in here. So if we take a very, very simple one, have we got a very simple one? Yeah, something like this. There are two commands in BBEdit that I would want to use. These are actually commands I've added, but that doesn't matter. And I want to use a shortcut key to do it. Rather than go in here and press edit and then paste using filter and then show notes and then text, I just want to use a shortcut key. And I've configured it in here. So I would need to add BBEdit as an application. I would then need to create a new macro. And then over here, I would need to specify what was in that macro. And that is exactly how I fixed Craft. So this is Craft here, and these are some macros that I had in there that I was playing around with. Then I had a forward delete work in progress, and then I've got my forward delete, I've fixed it. But what I'm going to do, so we can see that there is a problem, is we need to go into, let's add a document to that and bring Craft on. And let's see what the problem is. So forward delete error. What's wrong with it? Right. Well, what's wrong with it is if I put in the quick brown fox, and then I realise that I need a capital Q on quick. So I move back and then I'm there. What I want to do is press forward delete. And when I do, it's actually working this time. Oh no, hang on. No, it's not. Unless it's, I have disabled that. Oh no, that's working. Right, that's what should be happening. Okay, so we've got quick, and I do that and it deletes one character. Simple. But that's not what happens if we disable this. So in here, I'm going to turn off that. So that's not working anymore. That's dimmed out. Well, when we go back in here and we have a quick, and we do that, and I'm using the forward delete key, it deleted 3 that time, but it could be 5. It could be 1. It could be 2. Could be anything. It's just doing that. It's insane. How do we fix it? Now, this is nothing to do with the syntax of Keyboard Maestro or anything else either. You've got to think logically. And I tested this today with Mike. And I said, right, I need the forward delete key to delete one character, not some random number. So what would I do in Keyboard Maestro? What would I want to actually happen? And you can, honestly, this is like going back to when I first did programming when I was 17. And we had this class and it was an hour. And he wanted us to write out in plain English how you would make a cup of tea. And then spent so we did that for like 20 minutes. And then he spent 40 minutes telling us where we all went wrong. It was like turn kettle on. Has the kettle got any water in? Oh, darn it. Is the kettle plugged in? Is the socket turned on at the wall? It was all those nuanced things that you would forget. So that one session taught me how to think logically when you're programming. It doesn't matter what the language is, you've got to think logically. So the logical thought here is, what do I want to actually do? Don't try and think it through and fix it with, oh, well, I'll do this and then I'll dim that as an integer. No. What do you want to happen? And it's really simple. I want to be at the beginning, so to the left of a character. I want to press the delete key, the forward delete key, and one character delete. Okay, well, it isn't going to do that, is it? We know if I do that, it's taking 3 out. Could I make it then that if I were to press another key, it would forward delete one character? That won't help me. This has got to happen when I press that key that's broken. It's got to. Because I can't remember. If I could remember, right, so if I'm at the end and I move back, so I can move back word by word, I can move back straight to the beginning and then move forward one word and get to the place I need. Paul's done that class too. It was describing how to tie a shoe. Oh, they're tricky, aren't they? They're tricky, but you learn, and you learn fast. Right, so I can get to the right place, but what I need to do is move one to the right and then delete it, and then that will work. That's the backspace key. I can't remember that. I've got 40 years of going there and pressing forward delete. So however this works, I've got to fix the forward delete. I can't use any other key. That's not what we're going to do here. But we've seen that it worked when I did it. So the first thing you need to do before you even open Keyboard Maestro is think, how am I going to fix it? What would fix it? And what would fix it is exactly what I've just said. I have actually given you the answer there. What needs to happen is, instead of pressing forward delete, which is deleting a random number of characters, I need to press forward delete. But can I do it manually? Yeah, I can. Use the right arrow key and then the backspace key. That solves the problem. And then I can put a capital Q in. So all I need to do is rewire the forward delete key to do 2 things, not 1. The first thing is to move one character, and then the next one is to backspace. So we will leave that. We will be coming back to you. Let's put the Q in. Right, and go over here. So if we actually look at what we've got in here, that's exactly what I did. When the hotkey, so when the shortcut key, forward delete, is pressed, this is what you need to do. Use the arrow key to move one character to the right, and then use the delete key, because then it's behind you and not in front, and that solves the problem. But what I'll do is I'll show you how I set all of that up from scratch. So first thing I need to do is create a new group for the macros to be in. So I'm going to call this craft demo. Now to get an icon in there is relatively straightforward. We use our Alfred trick, which is icon craft. And that will put that icon on the desktop. Oh dear, I didn't delete everything else that's on the desktop. I'll tell you what, let's get rid of that lot right now. There's probably more than that, isn't there? Naughty me, didn't clear the desktop. Did everything else though, didn't we? We absolutely did everything else. Oh, there's the butler's Jim Jams. We don't want to see the butler's Jim Jams, do we? Oh my word. And there's the craft icon, but I'll do that again. There we go, craft icon. There it is. So what I'm going to do with that is open it up, Command and A, Command and C, Command and Q. So I've copied it. Click on there so it gets a border on it, and then paste in, and now I've got that icon. The reason that we're bothering to create this folder to put these icons in is the next bit, which is, it says by default it's available in all applications. Well, hang on a minute. All the other applications are working fine. It's this one that's the problem. So first thing I need to do is limit. So let's go to the crop. We're here, over here on the left. I need to limit when it rewires the application by saying in these applications. So I'm limiting it to only doing this in craft. So I'll hit craft there. That's it. If I find there's another Catalyst app and it's doing exactly the same, it's got the same error, then I can add that. So if we were to say and then go to drafts, because drafts is doing it as well, that's how you can add multiple applications to it. But for us, it's just craft. And that's all I need to do. That gives me my group. So over here on the left-hand side, we have a group that we're going to put a macro in. Let's go and create a macro. So you click add in the middle. That gives you an untitled macro. So if I am going to fix this, this one's going to be forward delete. And I could actually put fix, forward delete fix for this application. Right. The first thing you need to do is to tell it, when do you want this to happen? And it's saying when craft is at the front, what do you want to do? What do I want to do? And I want to type a key. I want to type the forward delete key. So it's asking me which key do you want to press. So I will press forward delete and that fills it in. So far, we've not even had to go anywhere to do this. But once we've told it what we want to do, in terms of I want to press the forward delete key, the next thing to do is tell Keyboard Maestro what to do. And you do that by saying new action. And then you get this whole list to look through. So what do I actually want to do? And what I need is some kind of key. I need to do something with a key. So if I put key in and then look at the list, the one at the bottom is the one. I want it to type a keystroke. I don't want to do it. I want it to do it for me. Okay, what's the keystroke you want it to type? So in here, I need to put that key. And the key is the right arrow. That moves me one to the right. Then I need another action. So I've got my first action in here. Then I need another one. Now, what was the second thing I needed to do? If I was one to the right of the character I needed to delete, then I need to use the backspace. So I need another keystroke. So I drag that in over here. Why are we not doing this? Come on. In we go. And the next thing I needed to do was press the backspace key. That's it. Move the insertion point one to the right and then delete backwards, not forwards. So that takes me out of edit mode. This one is active, the other one isn't. If we now bring this over, there's the quick brown fox. So I'm moving back word by word. And now when I press that key, it deletes just the one. That's how I fixed it. It was that bad. I fly around when I'm typing, and it was that bad that I'm deleting random numbers of characters till in the end I'm looking at it thinking, oh no, I've used the forward delete again. That I actually contemplated putting Biggles on it. That's how bad it was. And then I thought, no, there's got to be another way. You can fix this. And that's how I fixed it. So that is an example of using Keyboard Maestro to actually fix an application that is broken. Now, you might be thinking, well, there's no point in doing that because Apple will fix it. No, Apple won't fix it. They've already told the developer that all of their development time and effort is going into the new version of macOS, Biggles, Big Sur, and they're not going to go back and fix that in Catalina. So it's up to you to fix it if it bothers you to that degree. And it did indeed bother me to that degree. So that's why I went back and I fixed it. So that is the first one that we did, which was fixing it. Right, the next thing. Where's the mouse pointer? Don't disappear. One thing that I wanted to do, and this was the first thing I did with Keyboard Maestro. I wanted to add features to browsers, more than one browser, that aren't already there. And that was very important to me because when I came to the Mac, I came from Windows, and that was literally 15 years and 2 days ago. I switched to the Mac. And, oh no, 1 day ago, it was the 8th of April. When I was on Windows, I used Opera as a browser. It was fantastic. Loved it. I actually paid for it. At one stage, it was a paid-for application. I think it was about $40, and it was worth every penny. It had so many extra features, and it was so customizable that when I came to a Mac, I had Safari maybe, and that was about it. I think I had Netscape Navigator at one point. Wouldn't install Internet Explorer. That wasn't happening. And possibly a few others down the line. But I wanted consistency across the browsers. I wanted things like paste and go. Opera had a feature where whatever was on your clipboard, all you needed to do was focus the URL bar, and you press this key, which from memory was actually Command and D, which don't try doing that now, it makes a bookmark. But back in the day in Opera, that paste and went. You pasted and it went. That feature is still, it's available now on iOS, but it's still not available in most desktop browsers. I do remember the day, Dee, because we did a show yesterday and we talked about it. So yeah, we did a celebration on the 10th anniversary and we did one yesterday because there was a show. So let's go and have a look how I added features to browsers. Right, let's hair off into here. So I don't particularly need that over there anymore, which means I can go open the page which has got the notes in for what I'm supposed to be doing, which is good to know. I can see what I'm doing. Right, how I've set this up. There are certain features. So if we look down here, we have browsers, we have Firefox, Google Chrome. Keep going, you'll find other browsers, Microsoft Edge. So why have I got multiple folders for a start? Well, if I want to add something to every browser, it goes in the browsers folder. So I want every browser, and you can see I've not got them all in here. I don't have Firefox Developer installed or the Firefox Nightly at the moment. So they're not actually on this machine, but Chrome is, Firefox is, Canary is, Opera is, Safari is, Brave is, and Edge is. In fact, what's missing from there? Naughty me. Why is that missing? I have no idea. But there is a browser missing. But basically what I want is to have the same shortcut keys to copy to Devonthink, copy the URL, paste and go, Kindle Deals and clip to Notion to be the same in all the browsers, including the missing one. Right, to add the missing one, I would need to go to this folder where all of these are listed and hit edit. And I would add another browser at the bottom, and that would be Vivaldi, and I don't know why it's missing. Yeah, Kim, spot on. Where did that go? Must have dropped off the end. But that's as simple. So Vivaldi did not have those capabilities up to this point, but adding it in over there automatically adds them to Vivaldi. So I don't have to create a folder for each browser. The ones that are in the folders for each browser, so Firefox, these are unique to Firefox. These are things that are causing problems within Firefox and not in other browsers. Same with Google Chrome. Where did Google Chrome go? Google Chrome. These are things that are in there. And I've probably got other ones down here for other browsers like Microsoft Edge. There we go. I want to pin a tab in Edge, and I can pin it. There is a menu to do it, but I always want to do it with the shortcut key. But that command does not work in the other browsers. So there's two different categories. There's things I want to happen in every browser, and then there's things I'm going to have to fix in certain browsers. So we'll concentrate on all the browsers. So these things here. Right, the ones I'm going to show you, I'll do paste and go first. So this is paste and go up here. But what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to disable the browsers one. So no browser is going to do that at the moment. In fact, I'll show it you actually doing it first. And then you'll... no, let's not get that one. Let's get Firefox. Where's Firefox? Okay. This is a pain in the proverbial as well. I don't have that. I have that set up as my home thing. Right, I don't have anything on the clipboard at the moment to browse to. But what I'll do is I will put in my website. We'll go there. I will copy that URL. So I've copied it. And then I'm going to close that down and I'm going to get another tab. Right. It focuses the URL bar for you. So imagine that you're coming from your email or somewhere else. And you know that you've got something on your clipboard and that's where you want to go. And it's a two-step process at minimum, sometimes three, it depends. If the URL bar is focused as it is now, that's fine. You can Command and V and then press enter. But you will probably know from iOS that you do get in iOS the option to paste and go in one tap. It's an option. It pops up and you can hit paste and go. And I have paste and go enabled. So one shortcut, I'm gone. It's there. So what's that shortcut? How does that work? All right, well, first off, I'll show you. If I go in here and I disable that group. So we take a tick out of it and it says it's now disabled. And I go back into Firefox and I get another page and I instigate my shortcut key. Absolutely nothing is happening. So it's definitely coming from there. Right. What you would need to do. Well, you would need to know how to do it manually. So the first thing I would need to do is add another group for my browsers. This one is the demo. And it needs to be available in, and then I need to go and choose all the browsers. So we'll have Firefox, we will have Chrome, we will have Vivaldi. Have I got any others open? Probably not open. I've got Edge open. We can do it. We can do Edge. There we go. So I've just put them in some browsers. There was Opera as well, wasn't there? If it's not listed, these are the ones that are running. These are the applications that are running. But if it's not there, you can hit more and you can go and find it. And then you get this huge long list of everything that's installed, crying out loud. Right. Luckily, it's in alphabetical order and there's Opera. So that's how you would add something that's not shown. Right. I've declared that to be where I want it to work. Then I need to create a new macro. And this one is going to be paste and go. Do you know how to paste and go? What's your process? It's on the clipboard. I need to do what? And this is like the making a cup of tea or the tying of the shoelace. You have to think it through so you know what you would do. First thing, of course, though, I'm going to need to trigger it somehow. And there's lots of different triggers. Most of the time, it's going to be a shortcut key, though. How could I almost not include Edge? That's because I use Edge as a host for Roam Research and nothing else. So Edge is fantastic in giving you web-based apps that are independent. I don't have to have an Edge window open to actually open Roam Research. It's fabulous. The other browsers don't do that. So I use the browsers for all different things. But I do like Edge. Edge is a very good browser. Now, I can't use Command and D because if I do, I'm not going to be able to use Command and D to add to bookmarks. So the shortcut key that I've adopted over the years is Command, Option, Shift and D. Now that might look hideous, but I can do that with one hand, which is a ruling thing here with me. It needs to be done with one hand. Right? So I can do that with one hand and it's in my brain. It's totally in my head. Right. When it comes to the actions, what's the first action you're going to need? So we're at the stage where you have the link that you want to go to on the clipboard. And you need to get it into the URL bar and then you need to either press a button or you need to press enter. That's the stage. What's the first command? I'll take a bit of a sip while we do the first command. Have we had any other questions that I've missed, Mike? Let me turn you on first so everyone knows you're still alive. You're alive.
I'm alive. Yeah. I don't think so, no.
So the question is, what's the first thing? You can't believe I left out Vivaldi. No, I didn't. I think what's happened is, as I was tidying up and stuff, things have, oh dear. But then Vivaldi is so fully featured, it might not need all the help that the other browsers need. So there's that to think about as well. But basically, you've got it on the clipboard. What's the first thing you need to do? Oh, Edge is good now. You used to be good a while back, and then you had a Surface. It was lacking all the time. Lagging. I'd give it another go. I would give it another go. Oh, Carol's on the ball here. Make sure the browser's open. I was assuming that the browser was open and we had a tab in front of us. And what would we need to do? And many people say that the first thing that they say, bearing in mind here, I'm 30 seconds ahead of you. I'm seeing people are putting Control and V. Yes, because it's on the clipboard, isn't it? Right, well, we've seen what happens in Firefox, which has got weird stuff going on, believe you me, it has, right? But let's go to this one. That one is actually focusing the URL bar. We don't have any silly flyouts and whatever else, right? It's just focusing the URL bar. So we could Control and V or Command and V and paste it in. But you might be, like you might have clicked somewhere. So let's go into where we're actually heading to, right? You might have gone down here and you might have clicked something. Right. So you're on this page. In fact, that doesn't make sense, does it? Well, I'll tell you where we'll go. We'll go to MacBites. That'll make more sense. Let's say you're looking at MacBites and you've gone down the page, so you're looking at the shows, and there's yesterday's show, and you're looking at the show notes. Right. And then you decide, I'll go and look at Elaine's website. Right. So if I Command and V or Control and V at this point, will it work? No. If I do that, you can see it flashing at the top saying, yep, I'm pasting. Where are you pasting? You didn't check first, like the kettle had water in it. You didn't check that the URL bar was focused. Aha! We need to be focused on the URL bar. If the URL bar had the focus, we could paste and it would be fine. But that's the first thing. You need to check, is the URL bar focused? Now, does anybody know how to do that? Does anybody bother doing that? I know the shortcut for that and I use it all the time. But I would doubt many people knew there was actually a shortcut to do it. That doesn't matter, Debbie, not a problem. Control and V, Command and V, whatever. But it's not pasting it. You would think it was, but it's not. You need to focus the URL bar first. You need to be absolutely certain that the URL bar has the focus and then you're going to paste into it. And there is a shortcut key for this. It's the same in every browser. It's Command and L or Control and L, but it's the L key. So the first thing to do, this command would not work if you weren't in one of the supported browsers, the ones you've added to the list. So we're assuming you have a page open in front of you like this. The first thing you need to do is to check the URL, that bar is active. Let's come out of that and go to the other one and do tab. Tab doesn't work. So it's Control or Command and L. The second thing you would do is Command and V. And the third thing you would do is press enter. I know that takes a fraction of a second. I know that. And I know that, you could say you're being totally idle automating this. But how many times a day do you go to websites that you've got on your clipboard? Probably hundreds. And in all the time I've automated this, I've done it thousands and thousands of times. You've learned something, Debbie. Now you just need to remember it. Well, the thing is, if you've got it in here, you don't need to do it. If you're on Windows, it would be 3 steps. It would be Control and L, Control and V, enter. But if you've got one of those apps, what were the apps called? AutoIt and something keys. What was the key one?
It was.
Let's have a look. It wasn't on my list. You had it.
I did have it.
Was it not auto keys?
Fast
keys. Fast keys?
Yeah.
I think it was fast keys.
Notion's having a moment.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
So there we go.
So if you've got fast keys, there you go. Fast keys or AutoIt. If you've got that, then you would probably be able to do this and automate it. And then thousands and thousands of times that I've done it, I'm glad it's there. So we now know that there's 3 things we need to do. You need to make sure that you've got a page. You need to check that you are focused on that page. There, on the URL bar, you need to paste it in and then you need to enter. So all we need to do, couldn't be easier, could it? Back in here, we've told it that when we press that key, and that's my choice, you could choose any key you liked, we need to do something. And what would the something be? Handily, it would be type a keystroke 3 times. So let's put in 3 of them. We need to press 3 different keys. The first one, because I'm on a Mac, is Command and L. The second one is Command and V. And the third one is enter or return. And that's it. You now have paste and go. So I will bring Opera back, and I know you can't really see me bringing this, pressing these keys, but I've got a new window. The URL bar is not focused, and I'm going to instigate that key, and it did it all by itself. That's in Opera. All right, somewhere we've got Firefox. So let's get Firefox, let's bring that on and do exactly the same. In this circumstance, the URL bar is focused. So will it complain if I try and use this key? No, it won't. It will just say, yeah, I know I'm focused, I'm there, I'm good. And we can head off there. And that works with any URL that you've copied from anywhere. And I use that one all the time. So all I'm doing really is, if there was a macro language in Firefox, like there would be in other applications, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of those, they all have in them macro languages, then I could do this on a per app basis. But the benefit of Keyboard Maestro is you do it once and then it works across all the browsers. It's fabulous. Right, so that was adding that feature to it. Let's get back to Keyboard Maestro. Have a look what the other one was that I wanted to add to it. I want a nice way to copy the URL. So wherever I am, let's have a look at which one should we copy. We'll go find one of these. Right, let's say we want to go to the Affinity Publisher thing, and I want to copy that URL. The first thing I'd need to do is click up here. Then I've got it. Then I need to copy it. Sometimes you could do that with Command and L, Command and C. There's two shortcut keys together that would do exactly the same thing. But I have always had it for 30, 40 years. If I use Command Shift C, I want to copy the URL of the current page. How do we make that happen? Well, okay, it's so simple. Once you've seen this one, it's so simple. So I create a new macro and I call this copy URL. I want it on a particular shortcut key, which is Command Shift and C. And then what do I want to happen? And again, it's just two shortcut keys. First one, when you go, first one, make sure that you have the URL selected, Command and L. And the next one, what do you want to do with it? Command and C. And that's it. And now I can instigate that with one shortcut key. That simple. It worked, yay! Right, the next one. Now, there's one that's a bit weird that I've done. And you might wonder why on earth I've done that. But it shows you something different that you can do. And that is, in my browsers, so this is the browser demo and this is the browsers, I actually have a shortcut key, a macro, to clip to Notion. Now, the thing is, that's weird, because there's already a clip to Notion. Notion has its own thing going on. So if we have a look at how that works, right, if I want to send that post to Notion, I have the Notion clipper up here, save to Notion, and it has a shortcut key. It is Command Shift and K, and it's built in. Command Shift and K. Now, in here, I can go to the add-ons, and here are all the add-ons that I've actually got. And if I look at my Notion one, let's find Notion. Where are you? There you go, Web Clipper. Right, it gives me these details here, and it doesn't give me a nice clean way of changing the shortcut. And I don't like that shortcut. I understand why it's there, but I don't like that shortcut. You may even be able to guess why I don't like that shortcut. For a simple reason, I can't use it one-handed. I can use it one-handed right-handed, but I can't use it one-handed left-handed. And I don't want to take my hand off the mouse. There's where Bone Idle comes in. If you're on Chrome, which I am on another window, so let's bring that in. There, Kim, you're watching. There's my pandas. So all of my YouTube stuff and my pandas. Right. If I'm in here, you do have the opportunity when you go into your settings. You should have your, where have they all gone? Crying out loud. Is it add-ons, extensions? It's extensions. So if I go into the extensions in here, there is a secret little hidey thing. Why they keep this separate, it does my head in. But hidden away under here, you can reconfigure the shortcut keys. Oh, fabulous. So why don't I go in here then and rewire it? So somewhere in here, there's the Notion clipper, Command Shift and K, and there's a pencil, and I could change it. And the reason that I don't is that I can't change it in Firefox. So why would I change it in Chrome? Because if I do that, they're not going to match, and then I'm being like, what browser am I in? And they look fairly similar. I have them looking fairly similar. So there's Firefox at the back and there's Chrome at the front. They look too similar, even down to the extensions. They look too similar to play around with. So I thought, right, we'll leave them alone. If some browsers you can edit the shortcut key and some you can't, leave them be. Remap it in Keyboard Maestro and have two shortcut keys to do one thing. So let's see that. Let's move these browsers. Right, how do we do that then? Well, I wanted to have Clip to Notion work with Command Shift and X. Why? Because I can do that with one hand, my left hand. And once you get into the kind of way of using Command and Option, you might think, how on earth are you doing that? Because it's 4 keys. But you can. The way you do it is little finger on the Shift, thumb on Command and Option, so that holds down 2 keys, and then that leaves forefinger to hit the D. In this case, it would be Command Shift and X, and that's easy. That's easy. Right, so how do we make that work? So in here, we need our Clip to Notion. So Clip to Notion. Right, this time, I'm going to need another action. What am I going to need? Well, we know that there is a commonality here. The commonality is that Command Shift and K works. Okay, then. Let's go in here and give it a trigger. So when I type Command Shift and X, what I want you to do is to type for me Command Shift and K. And that is a really weird one, but what I'm doing is now it'll work on either. Doesn't matter. I can use Command Shift and K or Command Shift and X. They both do the same thing. So, and it works on one hand. Got to have it left-handed. Right, question from D. Do I ever use the Shortcuts app on iOS? You've never looked at it, found out it's quite popular. Looks confusing. I have created a few things in it, yes. It excels when the application supports it. So when the application exposes enough of its power to the Shortcuts app, it works amazing. But most of my work is on the desktop, to be honest, so I don't spend that much. Kim says, I get the feeling your speed on the keyboard's 5 times faster than mine. It's just getting used to it. It's muscle memory. Hence, when I put a Mac on my desk, and, well, Mike put a brand new Mac on his desk and started working with it. And I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work for me. I'm going to need to put it on a separate desk and then get all of these things configured, because if I use a shortcut key and nothing happens, I'm like bemused as to, well, where did I have that set up? There's Keyboard Maestro, there's Alfred, there's system shortcuts. There's so many different ways that you can do this. And I need to have it all set up before I start, or I'm going to go round the bend, going to go crazy. Right, so that was how I extended browsers with Keyboard Maestro. Right, where's my mouse pointer gone? Where you go. Right, the next one is similar-ish and also a bit weird. I use things as a to-do manager. And again, it was to do with the fact that I needed a way to capture to-do items into things and have one consistent way to do it. Simple as that. This one was quite tricky. What I mean by that is, if I've got something that I want to add to things, so you might be wondering, what does things look like? And I have things here. This is what things looks like. Okay, so I have an inbox, obviously inbox 0. Okay, we're mere mortals. Right, I've got an inbox. I've got the stuff that I've got to do today. I've then got groupings. So I've got some MacBites projects. I've got Brooklands projects that I need to do. These are all the things I need to do for Brooklands. I've got system stuff, work stuff, personal stuff, and templates that I need. I'm talking about how I get something in that inbox. And obviously, there's the slow way. There's the slow way where I bring things up and I hit the thing at the bottom. And then I get that new window. And then I type, new thing. And press enter. And then, of course, I'd need to hide that to get rid of it. Who's got time for all that? Right, there's a shortcut key. And that shortcut key is in your system settings. So in here, in your quick entry, you have the ability to set not 1, but 2 quick entry keys. One is the standard quick entry and the other is quick entry with autofill. I'll show you them both. So what it means is, I've got that out of the way. I'm working on something else. And then I think, oh, I need to do whatever. Right, so what I would do is press Control and spacebar, and that would bring up this quick entry window. And trust me, I can do anything from here. So another thing to do. Now, when I say anything, I can tab and add some notes. I can tab again, and it will say, when do you want to do this thing? Do you want to be reminded? And I'll say, yeah, I want to do this thing today. I can open up the tags, and I can start putting a tag in. So maybe this is for MacBites. I can add some tags. I can move on from there and add a checklist, and I can even add a deadline if I want to do that. So if I want to add a deadline for that to be Sunday, now it's got a deadline. All of which was done without touching the mouse, which is my aim in life, never touch the mouse. And I can even add a project to that if I want to. But at that point, I'm quite happy with that, and I'm going to save it. All right, that's saved. I go back to things. I've got the new thing in the inbox, and I've got the other thing appearing in today. And the reason it's in today is because that's all the things I've got to do today, and I told it to do that today. If I take that out of today, it won't go back to the inbox unless I actually put it in the inbox. It will go into do this sometime whenever. Okay? But that's one way of doing it. That's adding a new thing, and you want that in the inbox or actually filed away with one shortcut key. Control, spacebar. Right. But what if I'm reminded of something? So what if I'm in my browser and I think, oh, need to go somewhere here, or I know I'll need to go to MacBites, I need to do something. So let's say I need to do something about the show. So I need to do something here. And I need to go to there. Now, you've just seen me sit and create the fact that I can copy the URL. I can indeed copy the URL. That's the start. But the second quick entry in things autofills. And what that means is at the moment, Chrome's got the focus and I'm holding down Control, Option, Spacebar. And that's what autofill does. It fills the title in based on the page you are on in your browser, and it puts the link in. Oh, time saver extraordinaire. It even focuses the title because that's probably not what you want to call the to-do. Yeah? So if I actually wanted to put check MacBites episode 136, I'd do it like that. I would select with the keys, I'd go to the beginning, put the word check, enter, done. When I go to things, there it is. There's the check the MacBites thing with all of the stuff in it. So those are the two options I've got in things. That's great. But let's see what it does in Firefox. So that was Chrome. Let's go get Firefox. Where's Firefox gone? Here we go. We have some stuff in here, don't we? Where were we? We were in Affinity Publisher, weren't we? Right. So I'm in Affinity Publisher and I need to add a video. So this is all my Affinity Publisher videos. Need to add another one. Okay. So if I use the standard things command, it's blank. What I want to do is take from here the stuff that I need. Well, we know that that was Control, Option and Spacebar. Firefox is so secure, too secure for its own good. It will not let things have access to the title and the URL of the current page. Oh, darn it. Yeah. And I needed a way to work around that. Okay, I definitely need to fix that. But how to fix that? How to fix it? Well, you can get an extension. So if you search for extension things, Firefox, there are usually two of them. Send to things and add to things. So let's open them both. And what I was hoping was, that is the one that I use. That is the one that I have tried. But I decided against it. I went to that one. But it's a bit hit and miss. Basically, it works when it feels like it, which is very annoying. When I say it works like it when it feels like it, it's installed. There it is. If I go to the extensions in here, so did we have that? We did, Add-on Manager. Right, let's go back to our extensions. In here, I've got the things one somewhere. You're there somewhere. Come on. Or are you not? Because I can see you, so you must be. Don't lie to me. Is it hidden somewhere? Is it on multiple pages? There it is. Right. And there we go. I even have preferences in here Show the quick entry dialog instead of saving the task directly. Well, that's exactly what I wanted to do. And how, pray tell, is this working? What's the shortcut key? There isn't one. Well, that's not going to work then, is it? I can't hook into something that's not there. And in essence, I want one shortcut key that will work so I can make Firefox work, because Firefox is my default browser. How dare you? How dare you do that? But there is a way. Right. We will go to... That must be under Firefox, because it's just Firefox that does that. Right. I have here Add to Things. And I've mapped it to this keyboard shortcut. I'm not concerned what keyboard shortcut it is at the moment. It's how to make it work. So I will show you. I can tell you it does work. All right. How would I clip here this into Things and tell me to do something about it? I've installed the extension. What happens if you accidentally set up something in Keyboard Maestro that's on the system setup? If there's two things that you set up in Keyboard Maestro, it will give you a menu and allow you to choose between the two. If it's the system, I think Keyboard Maestro takes priority over it. So how would I get that into Things in my little, this thing that I want, but I want it populated? How on earth would I do that? Because remember, Keyboard Maestro, you take it all the way back and you do it manually. How would you do it manually? And then you go to Keyboard Maestro and you say, okay, then this is how I want you to do it. Well, how are you expected to do it? There's no shortcut key. No, but it's an extension. And there is an icon. And if I click it, I get exactly what I get by default in every other browser. So, good, but no t-shirt. Because you know me, don't like to take my hand off the keyboard. Want it elsewhere. Want it on a keyboard shortcut. So I want that, it's exactly what I want, but not by having to click on it. That won't do. Right. What can we do instead then? Well, what exactly am I doing to make that work? How many steps are involved here? I'm taking my mouse pointer up to that button, I'm clicking that button, and when I click that button, I get that. That's as far as I need. I don't need it to do anything else, I just need to get to that stage. Oh, isn't it infuriating? It's one mouse click. It's one mouse click. But can Keyboard Maestro move my mouse and click that button for me? Because I don't want to do it. Yes, it can. Unbelievably, it can. Let me show you what that looks like in Keyboard Maestro. So in here, you'll notice that you've got a whole range of icons down here. And this one, next to Add to Things, so if we go across there, this one has a mouse pointer with a click next to it. Oh, amazing. How do we do this? Right, what we do is we say, when you press your shortcut key, move the mouse and then click. Move the mouse to where? You add a picture. You add a picture. Seriously. So what I'm going to do so we can see this, I will turn that one off. And we will set it up from scratch. I'll show you how I actually even took the picture. So we need another macro and we need to add to things a demo. Right, new trigger. Now in this case, I wanted that, I just picked a shortcut key and I'll sort the mess out later, which was Control and T, send it to Things. Right, I can actually do that another way, but then it gets a bit complicated. So let's just stick to semi-simple, which is this way. What do you want to do? Right, well this time it's not type a shortcut key. No, I want you to move the mouse and do something with it. So if I put in mouse, these are the options I've got. I can move or click the mouse, but that presupposes the mouse is where it should be already. And if it's not, if I click up here, click at found image and drag that one in, then I get an opportunity in here to say which icon and what you're supposed to do with it. Okay? But at this stage, I'm going to need in here, so in that bit there, I'm going to need the picture. Right, so how that happens. How I actually did it, I made sure that I'd got this at the front. And I will open Snagit, because we're going to need to open Snagit shortly anyway. right? So I've got that off screen because the first thing that I actually need to do is go sort out taking the image. So we'll sort that out shortly. Right, over here. You need to have this active. And then you need to take a screenshot. Now I'm going to do it in Snagit because I need to edit it, but it doesn't really matter. You could take it as a screenshot, and as long as you're accurate with it. But I'm going to make sure that I'm accurate with it. Right, so I'm going to take this shortcut, this screenshot. So I have activated Snagit, and I'm going to draw around this. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a gap as well. So something like that. It would be better if it was square. Purely just make it easier over here. So here's Snagit. Get rid of that. And there's the screenshot that I took. So let's zoom into that. Let's go down here and choose fit to screen. That's what we've taken. The important thing here is that that is in the middle of the screen. So this little bit here, that bit there needs to be in the middle of this image because that's where I'm going to tell it to hit. That isn't quite square, but I can sort that out with a crop possibly. So if we take that in, but I still want it to be square. So I want that in. That's about right. Is it 24 by 24? And crop it. Perfect. That's the bit I want it to hit. I then drag that out. Now I can put that on my desktop or wherever. I've just stuck it on a shelf there out of the way. Because what I'm going to need to do with it is put it into Keyboard Maestro. So let's bring that back. Right. And what you're saying is when I press Control and T, move the mouse and click it at 0, 0, in other words, don't move it. So click it exactly where the mouse is from the centre of the found image. Click the left mouse button. So I need to give it the image. So there's my image. Drag and drop that in. There's the image. And that's it. I don't want you to do anything else, just click that button. And that's how you click a button. So let's come out of there. And we've automatically, with this one, we've disabled it. So that's exactly what that's saying. They should be identical. All right. But this is the one that we've done in the demo. So let's go do that. So remember, it was Firefox we had the problem with. So there's Firefox. And we know if we use the magic keys, it's blank. And we don't want it to be blank. My mouse pointer is here, next to my name there. So hand off the mouse. I am not moving this. This is going to move this. And I Control and T. And it should click the button. It's having a moment. It should click the button. Let's make sure that that does actually click the button. Maybe I did not tell it to click the button. We are in Firefox.
Carol wants to know what that shelf thing is.
It's called Drop Shelf. It enables me to drag and drop images without having to see my desktop to drag and drop them on. So yes, I can confirm this is working. I'm going to cancel it. Make sure that your browser is active. Mouse pointer wherever you want. Use the shortcut key. It goes up and it clicks it. And there it is. And now I've got in there exactly what I would have in Chrome. This is what I say when I say I spend half my life fixing stuff. This shouldn't be broken. It shouldn't be broken. Firefox should have some kind of option to let me read that. And it won't, it doesn't. But there you go. There's a way to fix it. Okay, so that's that one fixed. I think that was it for browsers, wasn't it? Oh, I need to speed up here. Oh, so many things to see. Right, done that one. Oh, right. Couple more to do. All right, let's head back off into here. Right, the next ones. When I used Keynote for 14 and a half years, and I knew it inside out. And Mike will tell you, Kim, if you think I'm fast on the keyboard, you should see me in Keynote. I would fly around Keynote. I had been known to make like 45 unique slides in like 10 minutes, if that. I fly around Keynote. When I moved to PowerPoint, it was a move that I'd accepted was going to need to happen, but I didn't particularly want to be slowed down from doing what I needed to do. And a lot of the commands in PowerPoint are like, really? Why have you got them hidden 15 levels deep? And there was no way to make a shortcut key for them. It was ridiculous. So I sorted out the big stuff in PowerPoint, and then I went back to Keynote and I looked at all my shortcuts. And I did two things. One thing was, if there was a shortcut key in PowerPoint, I considered whether I wanted to learn the new shortcut key. But while that was happening, to stop me infuriating myself, I also considered replicating some shortcut keys and mapping them to what I did in Keynote. I've ended up with a kind of hybrid system. I think some of them now I could retire, because I've been using PowerPoint for almost 6 months. Guess what? Fly around that now. And you should have heard the bad words that were said originally when I was using PowerPoint. So let's have a look how I use Keyboard Maestro to fix PowerPoint. Right, now first thing, PowerPoint's actually running at the moment, so I'm going to have to come out of it so we can actually use PowerPoint. Oh, there's nothing to see, is there? Right, okay. Kim says it takes her an hour to make a good Keynote slide. So slow. You get faster. And do you know what really lights a fire underneath you? Mike's saying it's 10 minutes to showtime. I'm like, I know. I've got 15 slides to do. Shut up. But, you know, with a few good templates and experience, you can certainly speed up. Right, let's have a look what Keyboard Maestro macros I've got for PowerPoint. I did have some for Keynote. There was some in Keynote. If we look in here, even going back to Keynote 09, oh, be still my beating heart. Loved Keynote 09. I also had some that I was trying here. This was to make a menu, but there's my ones in Keynote. So I do have them in Keynote as well. But it's PowerPoint that we're talking about. So in PowerPoint, what was broken? Did I have you under M or P? I had you under P. There we go. Right. First of all, I've left a couple in here. These are all the ones that I use. But I am now at a point I could disable some of these and retire them. Right, for two reasons. First of all, the send to back and bring to front item. Let's get ourselves a new PowerPoint file. So here is a new PowerPoint file. Not my layout, I can assure you. Tend to start with blank. Right, if I bring in some pictures, and you can get pictures from the stock images or anywhere else, so let's get some stock images. Oh, let's have some pandas just because we can. Look at him, he's adorable. Right, so I've got some images on here. Right, one over the top of the other. I am constantly juggling the stacking order of items on a slide, so I need him at the back. I want to be able to press Command Shift and B and move him to the back, or Command Shift and F and move him to the front, or move him back one. So if I go get another stock image, so we've got, let's have more pandas. So now we've got 4 of them, right? So there are the 4, you can see them. So let's say I want this one, let's say the red one, to be at the back. That's put it at the back. But what if I want to bring this green one, not to the front, but I want to bring it forward one? That should be Command Shift, Option and F, and that brings it forward 1. Now I know these shortcut keys, I've been using them for 25 years, and I wanted them to be the same. And I went into PowerPoint and they weren't there, and I'm like, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. I can't move things up and down a stacking order. Now there is a reason why they weren't there, and that is PowerPoint has the most amazing selection panel over here. This will enable you to move them up and down. So if you are more of a person who wants to drag things up and down like this, you can also toggle them off. So you can focus on them and think, yeah, I want him there. But, you know, I'm going to reveal this by doing something. So then I want to put this one on the top and so forth. But I'm not a mouse person, am I? No. I want to just change the stacking order to make sure I've got things on the top that are correct. Things like, let me show you tonight's presentation. Let's get that on the screen. We have up here one little thing that I put in that I needed, which was that one. That's one picture. Where are we? Where have you gone? There. It's one picture. Let's get this down so we can see more. Lose all of these. It's a picture, but this text didn't stand out very well. If we go to our stacking, so let's bring our stacking on. You can see I've got a picture, that's at the background. I've got a rectangle, what's that all about? And I've got a text box, and I've got another text box, which I shouldn't have. So I should have a text box, one text box. This rectangle, it doesn't look like there's anything there, but it's a gradient. Otherwise, you won't be able to read that text. And I need to make sure that that's in the perfect place. And it wasn't. It was at the top. Because I put the text on and then thought that's no good. I need something. I need a gradient behind it. Once I'd created the gradient was at the top. And then what I do is just move it back with a keyboard shortcut. So that was one thing that needed doing. Definitely needed doing. So that's what I wanted to do in here. But you'll notice, if I bring Keyboard Maestro back, this bring to front and centre back is dimmed out now. They added it. I vented my spleen to Microsoft and they were like, oh, that's cool. And they've added it. So these I don't actually need anymore. These are now in the application. So sometimes that will happen. You create something and then they add it and you don't need it anymore. Right, the other things that I've got in here. I need to insert a text box. That one's caused ructions. It's hysterical. I want to toggle a ruler on and off. I want to duplicate something. So these are the things that I want to do. Let's recreate some of them, if not all of them. Some of them are incredibly simple. So I want to toggle a ruler on by using Command Shift and R. All I need to do is then say to it, well, activate view ruler. Inserting text is exactly the same. Use the menu and do that. Some of them won't work like that. So we'll do the toggle ruler because it's dead simple. Right? It's dead simple. So I'll add a new group. The group is PowerPoint demo. I can play around with this and put pretty icons on it and stuff. But in essence, all I need to do is in here, choose PowerPoint. So we've gone right back to the top, haven't we? Hang on a minute. Why are we not seeing just the active ones? PowerPoint, which is probably under M under Microsoft, just to play with my mind. There we go. Right, so these shortcuts are only going to work in PowerPoint. So let's have a look. We were going to do the ruler one, weren't we? Which was Command Shift R. So I'm going to toggle off the entire group and go into our demo, add a new macro. This one is called Toggle Ruler. Right, and I want that to work with a hotkey. So I put the key in. It's all replicating everything we've done, isn't it? But what do I do now? And this is something that we haven't looked at so far, which is we actually need it to go to the menu. So what I mean by that is if we have a look at PowerPoint, how would we toggle that ruler on and off? Obviously, I've got a shortcut key, but if I hadn't, how would we toggle it off? Well, if I go to View and I go to Ruler, there's a tick next to it. Cool. So that's what I need, but there's no shortcut next to it, which I was quite surprised about. Let's put this in. I'm now thinking, did I do that? But no, I think that's right. I think that's the right shortcut key. Right. So this time, instead of saying get a key or whatever, somewhere in here we need to say, well, it's something to do with the menu. But I'm saying this to you in like English because you don't really need to know how to code. You just think, well, it's something with the menu, I don't know what. Right, you've got two options with the menu. You either have it show the status menu. No, I want you to do something. Well, that would be select or show a menu item. So you've only got two options. And then all you need to do is tell it what menu and what option. Now, sometimes it could be 2, 3, 4 levels deep, in which case you've got this business going on. Don't try and do this by putting in the top one and the last one and then filling in the middle because they all start moving. In this one, it's really simple. We need a menu title, which was View. It's case sensitive and it needs to be absolutely spot on. Because of that, you have over here where you've got menu, you've actually got the ability to see everything that's running. So there's PowerPoint and it's the View menu and it was Ruler. And that will fill it in for you. It will say select the menu in PowerPoint, the View menu with the ruler option. And that's it. And so now we have that one working, so get it out of the way. The ruler is on at the moment, but if we Command Shift and R, then it goes off. So it toggles it completely. And that's just a shortcut key. So we've done lots of shortcut keys, but that one was actually coming from a menu. Now there's a tricky one in here, but you should be able to tell me how to actually fix this. And let's have a look in here. It's this one. So I've got this slide and I can't see the edges of these images. So I need to zoom out. Now you have this lovely slider at the bottom. Did I mention I don't like using a mouse? But it is very nice. I need to just zoom in and out. And there are shortcut keys for zooming in and out. Command-Shift minus and Command-Shift plus. And they will zoom you in and out. And I use that. But I want to fit it. So once I've got all these slides, I would zoom out because I'm working with all of these slides. Once I've got them all neatly lined up and they're all on my slide, right, I'm going to have some kind of images falling over thing going on. I want that slide to fill the screen. So I want that to go to fit. So I thought, well, how difficult can this be? View. Zoom. In, out. I don't want in, out. I want to zoom. And I'm looking for a zoom to fit option. Where on earth is it? It's in a dialog box. Microsoft. Really? Oh, for crying out loud. So then I have to choose fit and then I have to click OK. Guess how often that is not happening? All the time. I want to go from that to fit. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks. No, there is another option, and that is down here. This one. Fit slide to current window. Awesome! That's exactly what I want. The reason I don't want to go down there and do it is I have 3 screens. If you've got one screen, you're going to go down there and the mouse is going to stop right there and you are a fraction away from it. I've got 3 screens. If I shoot down there, the mouse is now in the middle of the other screen. So that's a little bit of a tiny target for me to aim for, to be honest. I want a shortcut key. But I've got nothing to hook into. I can't go to the menu and say view, zoom and choose zoom to fit because it's not there. All that would do is say zoom and bring that up and then I've got to say fit and then I've got to click OK. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. So what could we do? I think you already know the answer because we've already done it once. What would the answer be to this one? How can I make it that I use a shortcut key and it just works? I will show you that it does indeed just work by zooming out. So keys to zoom out. There we go, keys to zoom out. And one shortcut key to zoom to fit to screen. Or it would be if I hadn't disabled it, wouldn't it? But I thought I'd re-enabled it, but never mind. Let me have a look. Oh, hang on, it's in edit mode. That's probably upsetting it as well, isn't it? Let's do that. Thinking about it. So I need to create that. What have you come up with? The icon. Capture the icon in the lower right. Exactly. So you literally, I won't take time doing it because I've already done it once. But literally what I do in here is say when I press Command 0, I want you to set the variable of where, now this one's slightly different. It's more complicated, but in essence, let's look at the step down here. Right. It's this one here. That's exactly, only I changed the icon. So it's exactly the same. Capture it with a screenshot, paste it in there and tell it to click it. Now, what's all the other stuff then? What's all the other stuff? And all the other stuff here, it's setting the current position of the mouse pointer to a variable. It's then moving it and then it's setting the mouse back where it was before because otherwise I'd be in here and I'd be doing something and I'd move, it would move down to there and it would click that and it would leave it there. But my mouse pointer originally was up here because I was doing something else. So what that macro does is note where the mouse pointer is now, moves it down there, clicks the button and then moves it back where it was. So it's a little bit more complicated, but the principle is still identical. The other ones that I had in there, some of them not very interesting. There's a couple that are. So if I do this, you have an ability in PowerPoint to create sections. So if I have these 2 slides selected, I can do the add section and it adds an untitled section. In fact, it's done it with all of them, but never mind. Right, let's say section 1, but let's say with these, I want to put a new section in there. So I'm adding a section. There's no other way to do it. Right, than that business, which I find a little bit long-winded. So let me put some more slides in at the bottom. and say I want to add a new section in, right? So I've got some slides and I want to add a new section. And what I do to add that is I have a shortcut key. So I get my shortcut key and I use my shortcut key and it generates the section and focuses it, and then I can title it. So that's my section in my demo. How I do that is, again, very simple. So Command Shift N is make a new slide. So all I did was add the Option key and then say in the front application, go to the menu Insert and choose Section. That's it. Only I want you to do that from a shortcut key. So if you look here, I've got 3 of these. So I've got Command Shift and N. So if we go there, Command Shift N, 1 new slide. Command Shift, hang on, let me get the selection. Command Shift Option N, make me a new section. Let me give this section a name, named section. And I have another shortcut key that duplicates that section, which is Command Shift and Control. And the reason that I would maybe want to duplicate a section, so I don't want to right click it, I want to duplicate that section. It duplicates the section, so it takes a copy of that and then allows me to add a name to it, second section. So it's how I work with those slides and jump around with shortcut keys. The principle of creating them is identical, so you don't have to think about that. There's the ruler one, the text one does the same. That's the duplicate, that's the insert. There's a couple of other ones, but all they're doing, Microsoft didn't add a shortcut key, so I added it for them. Go to the slideshow menu and hide them and hide the slide. So in here, if I've got this slide, and we will put something on it, and I don't want that to appear in the presentation, I want to hide it. And my main problem with PowerPoint when I needed to switch was, how do I hide a slide? And I'm thinking, maybe view. Oh no, that's when I'm editing. Okay, maybe slideshow. Hide slide, no shortcut. But I'm thinking you're already on the slide and it's available from the menu. So if I just Command Shift H, I want it hidden. And there you go, it's hidden. Right, so did I have any more in there? No, that was it for PowerPoint. You'll be glad to hear. So let me get out of there. Don't need to keep that. Do need to find the other presentation because that was the one I was actually in the middle of using. And what have we got now? Oh, a really cool one. You'll like this. You'll like this, I promise. Right, let's go into there. Enabling devices. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean enabling devices? I'm not going to show you how this works. I will show you the macros, but we'd be here all night. And we've already done it. We did it a while ago. There is actually a show, maybe Mike can find it for me, where we did this. But what I'm going to show you... Why isn't my light switching on? Crying out loud. It isn't switching on. Oh, there it is. Right, it's alive now. Okay, yes, we can see that. Awesome.
What show am I looking for?
The one with the Stream Deck in it. Right, so let's have a look at that. So I'm going to come out of here and show you that I have this device called a Stream Deck. And this, that's what that looks like. That's the actual controlling application for it. So let's get this lot out of the way and bring up this so you can actually see it. Okay, so this is a control surface. Out of the way. Right. Oh.
81.
Awesome. Right. How do I get that thing up when it won't come up? That's the one. Excellent. It's thinking about it. It'll get there. There we go. That's my Stream Deck. So when I'm editing, I use these buttons. These are actually buttons on a control surface, which I can either leave in here, which is, oh, look at the dust. Ignore the dust. Never look at the back of it. Or I can take this off and it will then lie flat. So I could have it lay flat down there. I tend to use it at that angle. But that is what we're talking about. We're talking about how do you make that work. Now, you can see from the application itself, so we will lose that. Let's come out of there, move it over. Right, leave it there like that. You can see in here, or you would do if you got that out of the way, that there are applications, OBS Studio, what else, Twitter, YouTube, they're automatically there. But my Stream Deck wasn't. Hindenburg doesn't support the Stream Deck directly. So I could look in here and there was no Hindenburg. But what it does support is Keyboard Maestro. So what I needed to do was wire up these physical buttons on the video to these things in here and have them do something in an unsupported system. All right, let's get that out of the way. We don't actually need that up to see this, but what we need to see is how it's done. So we'll go back to that when we've seen how it's done, which is we have Hindenburg in here. These are the shortcuts that I have added to Hindenburg. This is another example, isn't it? If only I could spell Hindenburg, I would be dangerous. Let's fix that. Okay. Right. Hindenburg, if you use Command and H, it doesn't hide Hindenburg. It drove me insane. So I rewired it. I just said, so this is an example of the question that Kim had. What happens if there's another shortcut key and you're going to try and overwrite it? Well, mine takes precedence because I don't want Command and H to do whatever Command and H was doing. I want it to actually hide it. And I thought, well, how do you hide Hindenburg? You go to the menu, you choose hide Hindenburg. So that's it. And now Command and H hides Hindenburg. The other thing I wanted it to do was this. Now, I don't actually use this because it's a hideous shortcut key here, but I wire this up to happen from a button. But all I'm saying is do that shortcut key, then do view chapters, then pause for a second, and then press enter. So it's just a sequence. But the magic happens in the Hindenburg Stream Deck section. And what I have here is one macro for every button. So row 1, column 1, row 1, column 2, row 1, column 3. That is what each of those does. So if I want to enable the blade and cut my audio, I will press the button that has the blade on it. In here, all it's doing is pressing the B keystroke. That's it. If I had a keyboard in front of me, I would just press the B key. As it happens, I know the B key, and I know very many of these. But having my hand on a control surface when I'm editing is what I need. It's way faster, way faster. So each of these is a macro. Sometimes it's doing two things. Sometimes it's simple, sometimes it's not. So all of these are doing type X, type B, type the delete key, nothing magical there. But delete from all tracks, it needs to do two things. It needs to select all the tracks and then it needs to delete. The ripple delete, it needs to select all the tracks, the tracks and then delete. Add a chapter marker and rename. It needs to do that. That's the macro we've just seen. So all of these macros are in Keyboard Maestro. How you then hook that up is in here, it's hooked up to the device. So when you look at the edit and you look at how it runs, what you're saying is instead of all the things we've chosen, in here it's a macro, it's a string, it's this, it's that. No, in this situation, it's a device. You then choose which key. So in there, you press the button on the device and it will fill that in. And then finally, you tell it what to do. Okay, that's it for the Keyboard Maestro end. What that actually looks like, if we go into Hindenburg, it's going to be very tiny, but there's Hindenburg. We don't have any audio in it, but we could record some, couldn't we? I never record in Hindenburg. Not a clue. I think this needs to scoot that way, basically. There is a record button. Oh, it doesn't like it. None of them are enabled. I didn't enable them. There we go. Right, so it's recording straight into Hindenburg at this point from my microphone. And you can see there, it's building up some audio. And this, I never do it this way, but this is one way to do it, where you can record it into multiple tracks or a single track or whatever. My main use of this is when I come in to do an edit and edit a MacBites. So I would be working with this track here. So there's some audio. Right, so say I'm in here and I want to cut that at that point, but I want to use the device for it. So to prove that I'm actually using the device, I need to get that up there, don't I, and bring it on. So I shall bring this on over here. There's the device. And I actually have in there somewhere, I've got lots of options. They are around here. Delete from all the tracks, take this chunk out, move that, take them out. So these ones here on the second row down are all to do with editing it. I've also got things that are simple, like a play button, play and pause, move forward, move back, change the speed, that kind of stuff. We're going to go for just doing something really simple though, which is we will in there do that. So I will making sure, of course, because I'm now on Air Server. Hang on, no, to make this even tinier so you can see both. That's just about. I think we can see both. I knew this was going to be tricky. But where's a tricky demo? Right, I push one button, which is that one there, and it cut the thing here. If I had another piece, so say I want there to lose. Let's get really complicated. Right, like a MacBites edit. I could show you a MacBites edit, but you'd probably cry. Right, there we go. I've got that in 2 tracks, and I want to delete it in both of them and close up the gap. And that's what that one there is for. If I press that, it deletes them, cuts it, deletes it, splits these, one button. One button. That's why I use that and why it's worth having this little device, and then all of those buttons provide the MacBites magic. No, we don't need to do that. Let's get rid of that. If you actually want to see that, oh dear. But why not, hey? Let's go full screen on that. And a recent session would be... Oh, I did lots of Maroons. I did Maroons. Tell you what, we'll do a Marooned edit. There we go. That's what a Marooned edit looks like. So in there, you see all the tracks. Not much to write home about in that, is there? In terms of there's not much of an edit, but it still needs doing. So I would go in here and I would do any edits that needed doing, but I would do it with that device powered by Keyboard Maestro. Okay, let's come out of there. We've got one more thing, which is the most complicated. If your mind's blown now, it'll be blown even more shortly. Okay, this is a mix and match. This is a situation which was a nightmare, and it took a while to sort it out. But it was something that I felt should be there from the start. But it was impossible to do it with just Keyboard Maestro. So that's what the mix and match part is. Okay. Do we have Scrivener? We do. Look at that. There's an email. Right. There we go. So that's Scrivener. And sometimes in here, I want to focus on just a particular week. So you can see I've got all of the mails in there. I've also lost my mouse pointer. There we go. It's back. Right. I've got all of the mails in here and they're all neatly organised by week. But if I want to see an entire week like this, it's got all of the other stuff around it and I can't focus on just what I want, which is just to see this. So what I actually want to do is hoist that. There is a command in here. I have no idea where it is. I never use it from the menu. But if I type hoist, there we go. It is view outline hoist binder. So if I hoist the binder, it focuses me on just this week. So if we look at what that's done, everything else is still there, not deleted it or anything. But if I click on one of these, I'm just looking at this week. It's fabulous. Love it. Right, but it's tricky because to unhoist it, you've got a couple of options. You can go back to view and then go down to outline and then go to unhoist binder. That would work. Faster way is probably to hit that cross, but you know, on a 27-inch iMac at full res, where is that cross? And I thought, well, what's the shortcut for this? There's got to be a shortcut. There was no shortcut. So I thought, that's simple enough. I'll make one. It's not as simple as you would think. Here's why. I want to hoist that. Let's go to view and let's go to outline. And I have hoist binder and it looks like there's a shortcut. That's because at the moment there's that shortcut. It says hoist binder. Right, now it's hoisted. View, outline, unhoist binder. Oh dear. This should be really straightforward, but it's not. It's to do with the fact that that command actually has the same shortcut. Well, that would be really simple. Really simple. Make a macro that checked if unhoist was available, and if not, then hoist it rather than unhoist it. And the problem with it was it would have run from 2 shortcut keys. No, it would have run from 1 shortcut key. So if you look at that shortcut key, Control, Option, Shift, Command 1, it's the same shortcut key for both because it's a toggle. I didn't want it running from 1 shortcut key, I needed it running from 2. Because for the last 15 years since I bought a Mac, that's what I've done. What happened with Scrivener 3 was they broke it on me. Instead of having hoist and unhoist as options, we now have one or the other. And yes, I can create a toggle shortcut, simple as anything. There you go. That would toggle it. So if I use that command, which I can do, toggle, untoggle, yeah, it works. I don't want to remember that command. What about the one I've used for the last 15 years? I want that one. In fact, I want those 2, because what I want to happen is that it will hoist if I use the up arrow and unhoist if I use the down arrow. Yep, I'm really awkward, aren't I? I played around with Keyboard Maestro for weeks to make that work, and it wouldn't work. It didn't work. So I had to come up with an alternative. If you remember right back to the beginning of this very long demo, but you said you wanted Keyboard Maestro and we've thrown loads in, right? Way back at the beginning, I said, if there is a shortcut key here, it's only coming from one of 2 places. It's either in the application itself, which this one is not, or it's coming from the system preferences. Right. Let's have a look at that then. So in the system preferences, to make this work in the keyboard, in the shortcuts, there is the app shortcuts. Remember I said Scrivener, we'd be returning to that? We have indeed returned to it. Right, I needed in the system preferences to hook up 1 shortcut key to do both things. So the first one hoists the binder, the second one unhoists it, but if you look at the shortcut key, it's the same. It's never going to clash because there will never be both items in the menu. There'll only be one or the other. But once I'd set that up at system level, then I could set about using Keyboard Maestro to create what I wanted, which was a different shortcut key to hoist and unhoist, because I was used to it. So, step 1, make those shortcuts. So if I take away that, so the first thing you can do, let me just go into there and copy that. Right, I'm going to take that away. How you create them in here is click on the plus, and you choose the application. So in this case, it's going to be Scrivener, which is down there. And that's the first thing. The second thing you do is put the menu title, and it does say the exact name. It needs to be precise. It's case sensitive. If there's any ... they need to be there. And then you put the shortcut key. So I've put the shortcut key. And that's it. That's how you create them in here. But that didn't solve my problem. I then needed to go into Keyboard Maestro and hook it up, so it did solve my problem. So within Scrivener, I have hoist and unhoist. So if we look at that, all I've done is set up a shortcut key. So if we go into edit mode, you can see it. It's Control Shift up arrow. And when I press that, I want you to press that. And that will hoist it. Now the laugh of it is, if we go back to back into Scrivener, we have a look at that. If I do the up arrow thing, it works. If I do up arrow again, that unhoists it. So it's actually a toggle. But in my head, I toggle in and I use the down arrow to toggle out. So I went back into Keyboard Maestro and I just made myself another shortcut key that this time, Control Shift and down arrow, unhoisted. But all it's doing is using that same shortcut key. But to make that work, it was a mix and match because I needed to set up the first shortcut key somewhere else entirely, which I did, which was in the system preferences. So, Keyboard Maestro and some very useful, at least for me, very useful things that I do with it. So freebies, and then we're going on to Mike. So freebies this week. I have got some very nice WordPress themes. They're all available free from Envato Marketplace this week. There was one I thought was gorgeous. That Bethlehem church WordPress theme. I looked at it and I thought, our church website looks a bit tired. That is so beautiful. I thought, yeah, we could do the rebuild. And then I thought, that's pro bono, remember, and you're a little bit busy. Leave it alone, Elaine, walk away. But it is nice, and it's usually $60. And the others, Cindy, did it say what Cindy was? A local government theme. I'm not exactly sure what a local government website should look like. But they are all completely free. So you might as well go and have a look at them as you were. There's about $180 worth there. You can never have too many themes, is what I say. Right, and then we're heading over to Mike. Where's the mouse pointer gone? You're alive now again, Mike.
I'm alive.
So if you want to say hello while you're infographicking, you can talk and they will hear you. So I hope all the people, and there was a lot of you, that wanted to know about Keyboard Maestro, I hope that gave you some ideas. But also I wanted to try and make it relevant to people who didn't have Keyboard Maestro, but just some ideas of things that you might want to do to make your work faster. If I had to go back, if I had to strip out all of that stuff from my setup, I wouldn't last a day with my Mac. I wouldn't. I would just be like, between me thinking something and it being done needs to be a fraction of a second, not 20 minutes while I think about what menu command I need. So yes, like Kim said, I do fly around the keyboard a bit. So are you ready to rock and roll, Mike?
Yeah.
All right. I've got your screen. Looks all right to me.
Good.
And now everybody else can see your screen.
And so I'll begin. Infographics. That's like an info panel, isn't it?
It is.
Infographics. There's a lot you can actually do with Excel when it comes to infographics. People think that because infographics are very graphical, that you need to use something like PowerPoint or Affinity Publisher or something like that. But you can create some quite snazzy infographics with Excel, and I plan to do this over the next 2 or 3 weeks, so not do everything today. But I'm going to start with the basics today. I'm going to start with a couple of basic examples and then work up to some sort of more snazzy and advanced things to give you an idea of the sort of things that we'll look at, not this week but next week or the week after, is something like that. So you can see there that it's showing little squares representing the number of people who've been vaccinated in each area. And just as I start, the dog wakes up. Anyway,
Is she up to mischief?
I don't know. She's jumped off the bed. I don't know where she is now.
I'll keep an eye on her.
Anyway, the other one that I'm going to cover in a future session is this one here. So it's going to take this data here and convert it into some kind of graphic. Okay, but as I said, let's go back to basics. Is she okay?
She's in the doorway.
Okay. Well, she's been out. So yeah, go back to basics and create something relatively simple and straightforward. So I'm actually going to start by hiding the grid lines. I'm not going to hide the grid lines on every infographic that I do, but on this particular infographic, if I go to view and then take the tick out of grid lines, it just gives you more of a blank canvas rather than something that actually looks like a spreadsheet. I know it is a spreadsheet, but if we can make it look a little less spreadsheety just by hiding the grid lines. Whenever I'm doing anything that's graphics based or that is maybe a report or a dashboard, I tend to turn the built-in grid lines off just to make it look a little bit cleaner. So that's the first thing we've done. You don't have to do that. I just find that it looks, as I say, a little bit cleaner. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert an icon. Now, what I'm doing is I'm obviously doing this on Windows, but everything I show you is also available on Excel for Mac. So if I go to Insert and I go to Icons, then what I get, and I'm using the latest version of Excel, so I've got a slightly different layout than what you might have. They changed the dialog box a little while back, but you go to Insert Icons and you get literally about 500 icons. So if I scroll through these icons, you can see them all. You can select based on different categories, and you can also search for them up here. So, you know, I could search for something like phone, and I get all these icons coming up. The one I actually want to choose is that one there, so I'll select it and click on Insert, and what it's done is it's added this icon onto my spreadsheet. It doesn't add it into a cell, it adds it onto a separate layer, but I am going to use that one, so I'll leave that one there for the moment. I'm also going to insert another one, so if I go back to Insert Icons and I search for a cloud, what I'm trying to build up, as you can see by the name of the sheet, is a phone bill, an infographic that is my phone bill. And obviously my phone bill is broken down into phone calls, text messages and data for internet usage. So the one I'm going to go for here is that one there. And you can change the sizes and the colours and things, which I'll come on to shortly. The other one I want is for a text message, and for this, instead of using an icon, because I couldn't find an icon that exactly matched the speech bubble icon that is the text message icon on my phone, I'm going to use one of the shapes. Now these shapes have been around in Excel for years and years and years. They're useful. I personally find them more useful in PowerPoint, but you can use them in Excel. Same with the icons, by the way. The icons are also available in all the Office applications and probably more useful in PowerPoint, but I've certainly found quite a lot of uses for them in Excel. But I'm going to go to shapes, so insert shapes, and the shape that I'm going to use is this one here from the callouts section, and just draw out my speech bubble. I'm going to turn it slightly, so rotate it slightly, just go and check the icon on my phone. It sort of looks more like that, and it's about the right size. Obviously it's not the right colour, but I'll deal with that in a minute. Okay, so these are going to go kind of here, here and here, but I'm going to line them up precisely in a while. Now I want to have each one of them in a square, so I'll go back to Insert Shapes and draw out a square. They call it a rectangle, but if you actually hold the Shift key down as you draw, you will get a perfect square. If you don't hold the Shift key down, then if you want a rectangle, you can do that, but hold the Shift key down, you get a perfect square. Same if you wanted a perfect circle. If I go to Insert Shapes and I find the oval tool, without holding the Shift key down, I can't guarantee a perfect circle. I might strike lucky, but if I hold the Shift key down and draw, I'll get a perfect circle. Okay, so I think that size should do. So I'm going to change its color. So go up to Shape Fill and make it green. And then I'm going to copy it and paste twice. and then just move them over like that. Then I'm going to drag this into this this handset. I actually want that handset to be a white color like it is on the iPhone. So I'll go over to graphics format. Don't use the fill color button here. Okay, you can actually use the fill color button, but I personally tend to use the graphics format graphics fill. So let's make that white. Obviously we can't see it right now, but if I move the handset and put it, I've actually put it in the square, but it's gone behind it. So if I make the square the active object and go to shape format, send to back, then the phone comes through. Let's make the phone a little bit bigger. And also with the phone and the square selected, I can go to shape format, align center, and shape format, align middle. And that makes sure it's lined up together. And again, select both of those again and do shape format, group. And that is now effectively treated as one object. It can go anywhere. That's the great thing about these. They don't have to, well, they're not embedded in cells. They can't be embedded in cells. So effectively the spreadsheet is like a blank canvas. Let's do a similar thing for the text messages. So drag the text message in there, bring the text message icon to the front. Also change the color of that text message icon to white. With no outline. I think it's about the right size. Yes, it is. I want to repeat the process of centering the text message speech bubble within the square. So select both of them and align center and align middle. They're on the shape format menu. And with them both selected, let's group them so it's now treated as one object. And then do the same thing with this. So drag it into the square. The icon is the selected object. So let's send that to the, that needs to come to the front, doesn't it? Bring to the front. Change its color to white. I think it's about the right size. Could maybe do with being a little bit bigger. Select both the square and the object. I'm just holding the shift key down to select both, and then go to shape format, align center, and shape format, align middle, and with both of them selected, group them so it becomes one object. Then select all three of these. So select the first one, hold the shift key down to select the other two, and select align, distribute horizontally. And that way we get the same gap between them. That doesn't look lined up to me. It is. I think it's my OCD kicking in. It doesn't look exactly.
Take a pill. Calm down.
Yeah, it just doesn't look bang on. And you know what I'm like. I know what you're like.
Yes, but I fix it.
This is true. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is add some text boxes. So if I go to insert and add a text box and draw the text box out, it can go there, and then just copy and paste again. And the reason that I've drawn text boxes is because what I want to do is I want to fill in the amount of money or the amount of data for each one of those different elements of my my telephone bill. So what I'll do here is I'll just type in here, let's say last month I spent £25 on call charges, and Did I tell the story of
No, that's next week.
Right, okay. I won't spoil the next MacBites then. I'll tell the story.
We've uttered the words next week.
I didn't, you did.
No, but I've got to whisper, don't want to wake young Jonathan. Next week is a patented MacBites word. It's when is the next MacBites. Now, obviously, what everybody wants to hear is next week. What we actually say is when you least expect it. But the words next week have been uttered, so let's see if that stirs young Jonathan.
Okay, so I spent £25 on phone calls. And I didn't spend any money. Yes, I did. I did spend money on text messages because I had to send some photos of Lola to somebody who didn't have an iPhone, and it cost me 54p per text message. I told my mother that, you know. She spent.
You have her frightened to death now.
No, I told her that she'd spent about £3 on sending pictures to somebody that in America that didn't have an iPhone. So she said she'll stop doing it now. So let's say I spent £10 on this. These can come from other cells, by the way. It's just in this example, they're not coming from other cells. And then I want to format that, which I can do just by copying the formatting from that text box and pasting it on there. And for the data, let's say I used 50 gigabytes of data in the month. That's 16 points. So let's do the same for that. Make that 16 points and make it centered. So there we go. To me, that is a simple example of an infographic. It's not sexy, it's not cool, but you know, we're building up from simple to sexy and cool over the coming weeks. And I just wanted to show you that you can build something relatively simple using the built-in functionality of Excel. So there's the first demo. I'm going to go on to another demo in a second. I'm just going to see if there's been any questions.
You distributed, you didn't align, apparently.
Oh, right. Okay. Thanks for that, Renee. So you've helped me out with that, and that's paying it forward because I said I'd help him out with a VLOOKUP. Okay. Do millennials know what that is?
That'll be the phone, I presume.
Oh, the phone. Yeah, the phone icon.
Yeah, apparently. I did not know that. Somebody was, I think it was the BBC, and they were saying that they did like hand signals that people would go. And I know this doesn't work well on video, but you know where you put your thumb to your ear and your little finger to your mouth? Millennials have not a clue what that means, apparently.
Oh, right.
I did not know that. Shows you the intelligence of your average millennial.
True. Okay, so that's the first demo. As I said, it is an infographic, but it's a relatively simple infographic. So my next demo, this involves a made-up company who has 4 car dealerships, in 2 in the UK, one's in London, one's in Manchester, and 2 in the US, one's in Seattle and one's in Ohio. And they sell sports cars, very expensive sports cars. And what I've done is I've got a list of all the recent sales, where they were and what the colours were. And you can buy your Porsches and your Lamborghinis in blue, black or red. And I've done a little pivot table that shows how many were sold of each colour. And what I want to do is convert that pivot table into some kind of infographic. So I have a nice blank spreadsheet here. I've already taken the graphics off there, the grid lines. So I'm going to start by going to insert, and I'm not going to use the icons. I'm not going to use the shapes. I'm going to use something called Smart Art, which has been around in all the Office products for quite a number of years. Not to be confused with
Word art.
Word art.
Word art, shocking.
Word art, which seems to be what many Catenian secretaries use for their posters.
Oh, indeed.
Yes.
Begs the question, doesn't it? Why the newsletters are in Word, much less anything else.
True. Okay, so smart art. Smart art is basically diagrams. I used to call them business diagrams, but they've got many uses. And if I just take you through a few of them, some of them you could build manually, but they would take you forever. Some of them you can't build really manually. If you take this one here, for example, this hexagon radial, that was actually what I used for this one here. As I say, I'll show you next week or the week after how I built this one. So let's go back to here. So what I'm going to do for this one is under Insert Smart Art, and there's all kinds of things here. There's some great ones which and use them as a starting point. A little bit of imagination, a little bit of thinking outside the box of this, as they say, and you can build some pretty good diagrams just using these as a starting point. But I'm going to go to Picture. And the one that I am going to use is that one there, Title Picture Lineup. I basically played around with a few of them and just decided that one would be a decent one to show for the demo. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is to click on this square here, which has got little image icon on it. And when you do that, it immediately says, okay, where do you want to insert the picture from? You can insert it from a file, you can insert it from stock images, so the latest versions of Office, certainly the 365 ones, come with a stock image library. Or you can search online, or you can use the icons, the same icons that we looked at before. But for this one I actually am going to go to the icons. And I'm going to search for car. And it was that one there I want to choose. Okay, so I have a car, and if I just copy and paste again, I've now got 3 copies of the car. So that one I'll leave as blue. That one I will change to red, and that one I'll leave as black. Now I want to fill out these text boxes, which are part of the smart art. You can either type into these text boxes, so I could actually type blue and I could type red and I could type black, but I want the text to come from the pivot table. And the thing about that is you cannot connect these text blocks to cells. What you have to do is convert the smart art into shapes. So select the smart art, click on Smart Art, Convert to Shapes, and they then become normal shapes. So select that shape, click into the formula bar, type an equals sign, go to the sports cars data and select E3 because that's the cell that's got the word blue in it. I'll do the formatting shortly. Click on the next one, click in the formula bar, equals red, and then click on the third one, click in the formula bar, equals black. E2. There we go. Okay, select all 3 cells. I'm just holding the shift key down to select them. Let's make the text size 16. Let's make the text itself white. And then we also had, I thought we had text boxes down here. They seem to have disappeared. Interesting. Okay, never mind. What I'll do is I'll add my own in. So if I click on Insert Text Box and just draw a text box over here, and what I'll do there is I'll click onto it, click in the formula bar, type an equals, and I want to pick up the number of blue cars sold, which is that cell there. Again, I'll do the formatting shortly, but if I just copy and paste, move that one over there and paste again, move that one over there, select all three, go and apply some formatting. So let's have this with no border. It's not that one, is it? It's shape format, shape outline, no outline. And then let's do a shape fill of, let's use blue, and let's use the white for the text. And let's change the size to 16 and change the alignment. There we go. Now, obviously it's picking up the 309 from the same cell. So that one wants to come from the red. Oops. Now when I change the cell it's linked to, it puts the formatting back to the default. So let's go and pick up, that was the black, wasn't it? Yeah. But I can actually use the format painter to apply the same formatting from there onto there, and then do it again onto there. And the great thing is that if the numbers change, then those will update automatically. Okay, so there we have it. Two relatively simple examples of infographics in Excel. Do we have any questions? Word art. Oh, yes, word art.
We all love word art.
We do.
It's not a question, it's an issue.
Yeah?
Notion's having a moment.
Oh.
How am I supposed to demonstrate Notion when it's having a moment?
I don't know.
Oh, this could be interesting. I've literally just changed the slide. It says Notion 2021, The Grand Tour, Part 1. On account of the fact Notion's having a moment, it's taking ages to load the databases.
Do you want me to do a little bit more?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It's not going to get any better, is it? You leave your stuff sorted for next week while I edit the slide to say this is going to be part 1. What can I do? What can I do if it's having a moment? Crying out loud. There you go. You see, Kim's got a problem as well. At least it's not just me. It's taking ages to load stuff. Now, what I'm going to do, let's switch from Mike's screen before we go any further. I've got the hound in here now as well, Mike, you will have noticed.
Yes, she's asleep.
She's asleep, bless her. She came in especially to sleep through Mike's bit. Did you notice that?
I noticed that literally the split second that I started talking, I saw her jump off the bed.
Oh, it's Daddy's bit. Let me go in and sleep through it. She's too cute.
Can I do that, Lola? Can I sleep through it?
Yes, Daddy, you can. Well, you did try sleepwalking through her trot, didn't you? But then she saw that squirrel and she had other ideas. Yes. And Daddy, oh yes, Daddy got a long run out of that. Crying out loud. Right, okay. Notion 2021, the Grand Tour, which is going to be part 1 by the look of it. Right, I have had requests this week, which is handy now. People wanted to know how to do certain things before we did the Grand Tour. And one of the most requested things was the bulk importers. Some people got how the stuff was imported, but other people were at the point of how do I make a bulk importer? And I don't think we ever did make a bulk importer. So we'll do that anyway. But we'll see how far we can get with this before it falls over. Which at the moment looks like not far. But, you know, we'll see. Notion, really. They are having some problems. I'll say that, they are. Scalability, I assume. Right, what we've got. Where shall we start? I'll tell you what. Where shall we start? Right, I don't know whether to start the tour or show you the import. Let's do the import. Right, in essence, it's where you have a table and you need to import some stuff. So if we look at, need to get to comms. Comms is where we need to be. So let's see if we can get to comms. We do have a comms. I'm normally there, and I don't know why I'm not there at the moment. Right, comms 2.0. Right, so we have a table, and one of the issues we have with this is a rolling 2 weeks of emails. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. I'm making it a bit smaller so we can see it. But basically, this is every email that goes out. And what we've done is we've created a bulk import. No, hang on. We did. Oh, I did actually. I created a bulk importer. And how the Marooned emails get there is they are automatically imported. But then I thought, as I was thinking about bulk importers, that one of the things we don't do, we don't bulk import the after hours mails, which we probably should, because it would make life a lot easier. You're wondering how we handle those at the moment. So this is two different ways to do the same thing. With a bulk importer, everything happens outside of Notion. With the alternative, which would be something like a show like this, we have a comms link at the top. And that is filtered for the comms for this particular show. But if we started completely from scratch, so if we were adding a MacBites show, there would be no mails. We would have to go through a process and add those emails. Now, I happen to know that we have some, that's far too big. Come on, let's take that down a bit. Right, I'm going to go into after hours. Mike's voice is soothing for her. Renee says them for Johnny too. Proves, but you see, young Jonathan needs his sleep tonight. There's no way he's still awake, I'm telling you, because tomorrow's a big day for him. He's getting his second COVID jab and he needs a good night's sleep. So tonight, Jonathan, I think you've got to buy tonight. I understand you're not going to be there. Obviously, I'm still going to claim the point, but that's not the point, is it? Good luck tomorrow. Right, so what I've got here is our MacBite shows for after hours, and they're going up to 126, which is what we've got here. So in these shows, if we were to look at like 126, things wouldn't have happened. In the comms table, no comms. So what we're looking at here is 2 ways to do this. Either you do it the manual way that I show you now. It's not 100% manual, but the bulk importer is for multiple shows. This is for a single show. So the first thing you've got to think about with this is, are you doing this for one show or are you doing it for multiple shows? If it's for multiple shows, multiple emails, multiple whatever, then a bulk importer will help you. If you want to create instead multiple items for one show, one event, then this is a good way to do it. Right, what we've got in here is this sits there folded up like that. So actually, I can actually do it with this show. So let's say this is going to be 126, so that goes in. Have it on the show poster? Yes. I add it to Notion? Yes. Is it in Wirecast? Yes. Is the event in YouTube? Yes. Have it on the email? Don't be silly. Can't do that because that's the next bit. So what I would do is, when I've gone as far as I can, I would come down to this comms bit and I would open it up. And what I've actually got there, let's zoom in a fraction, I've got another disclosure here. That is just another disclosure item and a table. The table is a linked table linking out to the comms table. It has no entries in it because there are no comms available yet for this particular show. And I would like to bulk load them, but not via a bulk importer. I just want to add multiple mails to this particular show. So I open up that and I have one item inside it. You might be thinking, why have you got one item hidden in a toggle? You could just put that item in the comms. So you could take that item and put it up there and then not have that lower item. Problem is, if you click that inadvertently, and I was doing that all the time, it would add mails. So I decided to hide it out of the way. And that way, when I'm doing what I'm doing, which is I'm setting up this show, Jonathan will be thrilled, 126, right? I go into it and I click the button. And fingers crossed, You see how long it's taking? Oh, come on, no. Heaven help us when we come to do the bulk importer. Right, it automatically goes into a show, and I then take that, and we need 0126. I copy that because when we go back a level, so we're going back to where we were, that's what that has generated. So this item here is a template button, and inside it, if we actually look inside what it's doing, it's saying add all of these items. So insert that whenever the button is clicked. So that's why that is happening. That's what we get here. Then with this lot, I then need to put them, at the moment they're not in the comms table. Even before I do that, I close that up because I am bound to hit it twice. In fact, not that one there. Have I not added that back properly? I haven't. Or it's added it in there. Never mind, I'll sort that out in a minute. Go on, it's these that I'm interested in here. No, not the whole thing. Right, these here. These are not associated at the moment with any show, much less this one. But if I just drag them and put them in that table, and it asks about the sorting, but that's irrelevant, so I'm going to say I'm not interested in that. First thing I need to do, I need to go into each one and copy what I've just created, which is the text that says MacBites After Hours and then the zeros. That is actually why, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it, that's why these have no space in. I click once, I double click, and I paste. So, click once, double click, paste. And I go through that at an alarming speed because I don't even use Command and V to paste, even that's too slow. I've got a paste button on my mouse. So I have a copy and paste button under my thumb, my right thumb. So I copy and paste with that. That's got them all now keyed up to the fact that they're attached to this show, 126, and they're all labelled correctly. Then I go and choose the date. Now, for that, I need to know, when is this show? That would be the 30th, right? So T is when the show's going live. So that's going to be the 30th. I only need the date. So this one's -1 day. That's the 29th. -2 days will be the 28th. The reminder goes out on the day of the event. So that's going to be the 30th. That's going to be the 30th. Then I've got the announcement. The announcement will need to go out a couple of days earlier. So either the 29th or the 30th. 28th would be best, to be honest. If that ever happens. And that one, where am I at here? That one. 28th. That one would be the 29th. So that one would move down. So this is sorted by date. And then I've got, if I decide to send anything out after it, 1 day, which would be the 1st of May, and 3 days, which would be Monday the 3rd of May. Right. At this point, everything else that's inside here came from being in this template button up here. And I can close that so I don't click it twice. And these are the mails. That's the only time I deal with it in a table. Other than that, I want to know by destination. Where's it going? The MacBites list, the VIP list, the socials on Twitter, and the socials on Facebook. And any Instagram ones, which never happen. Trust me. But we don't tend to manage those from in here. We don't want to have to be in the show to write the mails for this particular show. But that's where they actually come from. But once they're actually added, they then get added to this system. And the reason that we're not seeing them is that this view is for Mike and it's a rolling 2 weeks. But if we change that to, what else have we got in here? We got a rolling 2 months. I don't think we have. We got an admin for next week. Let's take the rolling 2 weeks and duplicate it. And then change it to a rolling 2 months. So change that. And it's going to be an admin view. It's going to look exactly like that. So it's applied at the moment, but this time I need to change the filter. So instead of it being from 1 week ago, it would be from 1 month ago. And instead of 1 week from now, it would be 1 month from now. And that would include it. And technically speaking, here they all come. So what's coming in are all the Marooned mails, so 400. keep going, keep going, keep going. There's the announcement for 126. There's the reminder for 126. There's another reminder. So they're actually colour coded. The red ones are going to VIP and the black ones are going to MacBites. Why has that got bridge on the first of that? That's definitely not right. That could explain where that went. I probably put that. You know, I probably did what I did. It should have gone out on the 1st of April, and it did. But I came in and I swore blind it had been deleted. I probably put the wrong date on it. Look, it should have gone out on the 4th, not the 1st of May. It's all right, it went. Don't panic. Let's delete it. Right. So there's all the mails. Now, sometimes you can see here that they've actually got the black icon and everything. If they haven't, like this one, no, that one has, hang on, that one. Then I've got templates within here that I can apply to them. And this would be a Marooned mail. And by doing that, it would put the icon on there that I need. So first of all, I'll make sure it's a Marooned mail. That's step 1. Step 2 is attaching it to a show. And in this case, it would be day 141. Choose that, and now it's all finished. But obviously, we have to do this each and every time. So put in the date that it's going and the status that it is and the list that it's going to. And that's the problem with doing it that way. It's fast if what you're doing is doing it for one single show. So for this show, that's pretty quick. Press that, put the information in, I'm done. But can you imagine doing that for Marooned at MacBites headquarters? 400 and however many shows. That's where a bulk importer comes in. You will want to bulk import it to the same table, but we've done that with Marooned. So that's why we have all these episodes of Marooned in here. We tried doing it manually. There was no way the mails were ever going to get out. So we did a bulk importer. Right, I think when we did the bulk importer, we didn't actually start the bulk importer totally from scratch. So let's start it totally from scratch. To make a generic bulk importer that will enable me to create 700 mails if I want for 700 upcoming shows. Jonathan's falling off his chair with glee now. How long before we'd have 700 MacBites the way we've been going? I think I'd have to live till 223 myself.
Something
we
like
need
that.
to speed up on that, don't we? We'll work on that. But to build in as many as you want, multiple shows, not multiple mails for one show, multiple mails for multiple shows, you need to create this bulk importer. All right, there's 2 ways to do that. You could start like I have here. So I'm building a bulk importer, BI comms, and it's empty. It's totally blank. Right, what fields should I have and what order should they be in and what format should they be in? I don't know. To save making any mistakes, let's go back to the comms and look at what we've got. This view isn't even a table view. In fact, it's a linked table and it's got a million views of its own. Some of them, like all, would be a table. You can go all the way back if you want. And what I mean by that is if you click on comms, it will actually take you to the original table, and this is the original table. There are thousands of mails in here, thousands of them. But if we look at the table, it's fairly straightforward. We've got a name and we have a date, a day which is calculated, a status, a destination, a MacBite show it's linked to, an Aweber link and an editorial calendar. So there's not like 300 fields, and not all of these fields we're going to use. But to make sure you make no mistakes at all, what you need to do is actually export that and choose Markdown and CSV and then export it. And this could take the best part of the rest of my life because Notion's having a moment. Oh, that wasn't bad, was it? Okay, it's done it. It's done it and we've got it downloaded. So in my downloads folder, I have the export up there. So I will show it to you by bringing that on. That's what it looks like. You get an export and it's got all these hideous characters after it. You double click that, it will open it up and you will get a CSV file. And that CSV file will have all the data in it. But more importantly, as far as we're concerned, is it's going to have the field names at the top. That's all we really need. That's it, honestly. I would leave a couple of records in there. But how I do this, rather than actually importing it up to Google Cloud and all the rest of it, Numbers is set up to handle this on this Mac. So I'm going to open it up in Numbers. Because all I'm pretty much going to do here is delete stuff. I want a few records left, but I can pretty much delete these. And this is going to tell me if I click in it, isn't it? All the way down. 1,305. There you go. There's a lot of mails, isn't there? And this is the actual data in the table. But when you're building a bulk importer, you don't need this data. You just need the framework of it. So all I need to do is to take this across the top, these headings, and copy them and go into my other spreadsheet. Now, you could do this in Excel. You could do it in Google Spreadsheets, which is where I'm going to be. You do it in any spreadsheet. Doesn't matter. What I'm going to do is paste that in. I would much rather that had the values only and kept the format. That means I've got the exact structure of the table. Right, you could get away with that. The reason that I'm looking for some of the data in here is these are going to be new mails. So if we look in the status column, the status is sent, 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 sent. Right, then we've got a not started. Right, we need to know. We've got scheduled in, they've got all sorts. But these mails, we're using this bulk importer to create new mails. So they're going to be not started. That needs to match exactly with what's in there. Because if there's a spelling mistake there, we're going to create another entry in Notion. So that needs to be exact. Then what I do is I format this lot because I'm going to reuse this repeatedly. It doesn't matter when I'm bringing these things in, how I do this, whether I'm bringing them into MacBites or whether I'm bringing them into the VIP, whatever I'm doing, they're going into that table. So I only need one bulk importer. But if I'm going to make one bulk importer, it might as well be spot on accurate. So what I do is format this. So I have a bluish colour at the top, but I want the fill to be blue, and I usually go for that one. We'll have that white, and I then, we got them all, it looks like we have. I then grab that and I make them bold while I'm at it, because it's a bit of a light font. So hopefully it's done that to all of them. Yes, it has. Right, then I've got my status over here. Right, the next thing I do is go through here with things that I can't fill in. So leave these basically. I'm not doing the day. You might wonder how I know I'm not doing the day. Well, let's go back and look at the comms table. The day here is a formula. We click on that, we'll see the formula. Get the date, which is this column here, and show me that value in terms of being one day. That's it. So I can't push that in through the bulk importer. Then I've got my status, and I'm going to need to choose a status from here. It's probably going to be not started. So I can push that one in, but make sure it's absolutely spelt correctly. So I don't actually need to move that, do I? So we've got a status of not started. So in our status somewhere here, we have not started. There you go. We can put the dates in. We can put the names in. Destination. We need the destination to completely match here. So it's list : space MacBites with a capital M and a capital B, if that's where it's going. So list MacBites, and the other one is probably list VIP from memory. Okay, but in essence you're going through this and you're thinking, what can I fill in and what can't I fill in? Obviously you're going to need to fill the name in. Obviously you're going to need to put the date in. You cannot force that in, it's calculated. This one just needs to match. So you need to choose a value from there that matches. The destination is exactly the same as the status. The only difference between the two is that we have got in here that as a single select and this destination as a multiple select, on the basis we may send exactly the same mail to more than one list. The MacBites show we can't fill in. In here we could hook it up to a show. Sometimes they're hooked up to a show and sometimes they're not. The Advent's not hooked up to a show, but some are. So there's 55 and there's 53. They are sometimes hooked up. Can't put the URL in because at that point we don't know it. And this one, the editorial calendar, we can't put that in because again, that's a link and we won't know at the point we're making the framework what that will be. What that translates to in here, as far as I'm concerned, is if I need it, then I leave it there and it's blue and I will put that in. The link I can't put in, but I need to leave it be. Okay, just leave it. What else can I fill in? That one and that one I'm not putting in. So it's brought them out in that order. I'm not putting that in. It can have information, but I'm not actually putting it in. So I remember this, I change the colour of the background. I tend to have mine quite muted, to be honest. So I would probably go for some degree of grey into that, or it's going to be calculated or picked up at the other end. So, but I'm going to make it red there so we can actually see it. This one is the calculated one. So I need to make absolutely sure there that I don't put anything in that. So I'm going to make that like green. So I know it's calculated. So the red ones, the data will be put in Notion, and the green ones will be calculated. Which means in here, I'm not putting these in. So the next thing I then do, and I would do this in terms of all these columns, but you know, for speed here, I'm just going to grab what we can see. And I make sure here that these are dimmed out. So I make these a very pale grey, but grey enough to know don't bother putting anything in because it won't work. Fill in the other columns. You could hide them if you wanted, but I just leave it alone. That's what Notion exported, and that's what we're going to import. But I'm going to leave those alone because that data wouldn't even go in there, so leave it be. Right, next thing to think about, the date column. The date needs to be an American date. This will only bother you if you are not in the US. If you are in the US, you'll be fine. If you're not in the US, you're going to have to format that. So you go up to format, you go down to number, and you choose more formats, more date and time formats, and then you need to make sure that you've got month, day, year, rather than day, month, year. Right, that's now formatted properly. Next thing, I do two things at this point. If I'm going to be importing loads and loads of these, when I scroll, I lose the heading up here. And the name of these when they're put in, if I need to scroll across, I would lose that as well. So what we need to do with that is go to View and Freeze, and I want to freeze one row, which is the top. So now that stays in place. And over on this side, I want to do the same again, but I want to freeze one column. And now I can scroll up and I can scroll across, and I'm still going to see the name there. Okay. And then it's a matter of putting the data in. So if we imagine here, I want to put in a few of these. All of them are going to be not started because I haven't written anything. They're not even in there yet. Right, all of these would be going out to MacBites. So let's fill that in as well. Don't know how many mails we're going to do actually. I know how we'll do it. Jonathan will be so excited. Right, I'll put in MacBites and I'll put in 137, and then I'll put in MacBites 0138. All right, you see where I'm going with this, don't you? Oh, could we get up to 200? No, we mustn't get giddy. We mustn't. Right, let's take us up to 150. Oh, could we do 150 in a year, do you reckon? There's a challenge. Right, so again, it's going to the MacBites list. So I'm filling that up to here. None of them are started. Oh, the date's going to be tricky, isn't it, for this? I tell you what, should we do some after hours instead? They're more predictable. No, we must put some dates in. So let's pick a random date. December? What do you think, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, December. I think we can go for December. No, leave it be. Right. What's the date next Monday? Let's giddy Jonathan. It's the 12th, isn't it? Of course it's the 12th. It's our anniversary. So that would be 04/12. 2021. Oh, the excitement of it. So the following week is bound to be... Why is it put that the right way round? I've just formatted that and told you to do it the other way. Never mind, I'll get them in. I'll get the first few in. Right, 2021. Okay. Once I've got the 2 of them, and now you see that one, it's done right. So I'm going to need to tell it that that's not December, aren't I? Crying out loud. See why I hate dates. Leave my dates alone. We're in the UK, let me import UK dates. Right, let's see if that works. If we did one a week, oh my, we'd be done by July. Yeah, it's all right, that's never happened. Okay, so I've got some dates. Right, I can't put the Aweber link in. I can't put the day in, because that's going to be calculated, it's green. Can't put the calendar in, can't put the MacBites in, but I can put everything else in. So, at that point, I tend to delete all of this stuff here. I do believe there is a shortcut key for that, and I do believe I can get rid of them all. Delete, away you go. So, I do that when I'm creating this, and at that point, I'm ready to go. So we've now actually created that from scratch. That's the way to do it. You only ever need, for one table, one bulk importer. However, you'll notice that this is the comms bulk importer. I go down here, I've got one sheet, and I'm going to call that MacBites. But what I could do, when I say one bulk importer, if we think of the spreadsheet as being the bulk importer, and we think of the individual lists that we're going to want to import into this one. So we've got MacBites mails, we've got after hours mails, we've got other mails we might want to import. It's not a one-off job. It's going to be something that we might want to repeat. You don't want to have to go in here and start fiddling. So if I just duplicate that, and in here I put after hours, now I've got a bulk importer for after hours, which means over here I could actually just put after hours, and the next one we haven't got is 0137. Oh, they're going to cross soon, aren't they? Is it? No, it's not. It's 0127. That's right. So after hours 0127. That's the next one, and after that it is after hours 0128. Right, grab all of these and grab those and fill them in. So I can take that up to show 140. Obviously they are going out to the MacBites list and they are not started, but the dates I would need to think about. So Mike, quickly give me a date for 0127. It's the first Friday in May, which must be
4th.
The 4th. There we go. Right, it's probably easier if I select this, isn't it? The first Friday in May is the 4th. Not according to this, it's not. It's the 7th, Mike.
Oh, okay.
Can't get the stuff. Okay. So let's move forward with that. And the 14th. Okay. Grab these and drag these down because it's a predictable date. And now you've got 2 different sheets within the same bulk importer that are doing different things. Now, if I know I'm going to import all the MacBites mails and all the after hours mails, that's fine, then put them all together in one sheet. But this way you've got an individual bulk importer that's quite narrow for a particular show, but it's the same structure. You don't ever have to export the table again unless you make changes to the table at Notion level. Right, your next step, should you choose to accept it. Let's bring these in, let's have a laugh. Right, you need to go up to File, and you need to export that or save a copy as. So where on earth is that? Download. Comma separated values. Just this sheet, because it can only do this sheet. That's why I'm making clear, if you want to do MacBites and after hours, they have to be in a single sheet. But I'm doing them separately so I can do them as and when I want to. And because it's already built, it's really fast to bring them in. So I'm going to export that one. Again, it's done it over there. There it is. We can probably open it from there. Let's open it up in numbers. It's going to look exactly the same. Not quite as pretty, but it's there. Right, let's come out of there. The next step is to go to the comms table and then do a merge. So I want to merge these things in. Pretty confident I don't have those in here already. And then we'll have to go and find them, but we will. Right, so in here we need, up here we need to merge with CSV. And then we need to go find where the CSV is. And the CSV is probably in downloads. There we go. So it's the BI Comms spreadsheet, but within it, there is a sheet, and it's the MacBites sheet. And then open. And then it'll have a, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. It's got problems with databases, so it may or may not work. Fingers crossed. I'm going to refresh it just in case, because I have been having problems with it all night. Right, I'm going to do a filter. And what am I filtering for? Right, this was for filtered for Advent. What I'm going to do, yes, I know. Away you go. It's midnight, I know. Come on, right. I'm not going to filter for Advent. I'm going to filter where the date... no, I will. I'll filter for where the name contains. Starts with MacBites, because that's what we've imported. So where the name starts with MacBites and where the date is on or after 1 week from now. That should bring some in. There we go. So that's what we've actually imported. Perfect. You'll see with that, that should have worked. What date? What on earth dates have we got? Oh, did I do it? I did a Monday. So there you go. So Monday's not release day anyway, really. So Jonathan doesn't need to get excited. But what we've got is everything that we've imported with the correct date. Now it's flipped over and it's in UK format. That's because that's how Notion is rendering it. So don't worry that it will be displayed differently. It won't be displayed differently. It will be displayed however you have set Notion up. The calculated field has calculated, and it said where the date property over here is the full date, so the full day, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's fine. In here, they're all set to not started. But when you click the drop down, not started is one of the options that you have from the multi-select. So if I'd have misspelt that, I'll put in like a different case or no space, you would have ended up with an extra entry in here that you wouldn't have needed. But that's worked perfectly because we copied it. And the same situation in here. We have MacBites Learning, VIP are the lists. So they are in there like that. The rest of that you would hook up as you go. But that has brought in, that is way faster. If you can imagine for each one of those shows, instead of having one mail, you had 8 items like we have for an after hours. You would bring into this table 8 times the number that you brought in. So we have 13 there. So you'd be looking at bringing in 104, I think. Is it 104? 13 times 8. 104. There you go. We're bringing in 104 mails. The other way to do it, you would have to do it 13 times, 1 for each show. So both of them are bulk importing up to a point. But I got about 3 or 4 mails that were like, can you just clarify that? So when you use the template button, you are bulk importing a number of mails into a single event. When you use a spreadsheet and you do the CSV merge with, you're bringing in multiple items to multiple shows or multiple whatever it is that you're doing, events, whatever it is. Any questions on that? Let me know. Right, what can I show you without stuff falling over? Probably the engine rooms are a good place to start. And then I can finesse that next week with dashboards. Right, engine rooms we've had questions about as well. I talk about the engine room. The engine room is not a concept that is within Notion. It's something that I came up with to describe where I store the core data. Right, through trial and error, when we started, we actually didn't do bad with MacBites. We got MacBites spot on from the get-go, didn't we? Because we've been through so many other systems. But one that was a bit dicey in terms of how we built it was the Brooklands one. Since then, we've gone through iteration after iteration. I try and limit it to once a quarter. But the engine rooms, we actually have 2. We have one in the workspace. So if you are unaware, you have your favourites at the top. You then have the workspace, which in our case is shared. So the workplace is called Giles Thomas. And then at the bottom, you have the private stuff that's just linked to you down here. So I actually have 2 engine rooms, but only because this workspace in the middle is being shared. So an engine room is where you put the databases, the tables, the original core tables, when you're working with them. Now, I believe that you shouldn't touch them. Now, Mike and I have when we look back at Brooklands and what we did with it, It's frightening. We had core tables kicking about all over the place and we had views on them. And then when we needed to build a dashboard, it's like I'm going to have to start again. I can't copy those views. I've got to rebuild everything. So that's why I decided let's put the core tables in an engine room. So the two engine rooms that we have here, there is my engine room there, and there is our shared engine room here, which has more in it, obviously. But at the bottom, we have original tables. And what I'm going to do with this engine room, this needs making as I've made this. So the difference between the two, they look fairly similar, don't they? But they're not. No. This is a version 1 engine room. And this is a version 2 engine room. What's the difference? Right, a version 1 engine room was bang the tables in there. So this comms table, if we open that, that is the comms table. There is no arrow next to comms. And up here you can see it's engine room comms. This is it. This is the real table there. That's what we've been looking at. In fact, what we did was we went we went even deeper. We went actually into it. So we didn't see this up here, right? But that is what we were working with. So any views that are in here, so look, we have views in here. We have calendar views, all views, undated views, MacBites views. Great. I'd like to put that on the dashboard. You're out of luck. These views are locked inside this table, and although you can make a copy, or well, no, not a copy, you can make a linked version of this, the views will not come with it. So you can see we started off when we built it and we didn't know any better. We built the views in here. Don't use that now. They're just there. Our comms setup is somewhere totally different. But this is a version 1 engine room. Why? We've got a table in it and okay, you're not using the views. What's the problem? Well, I might need to administer this table. I might want to do heavy lifting and triage on it from the engine room. And the only way I can do that is to use this table because there is no maintenance page, an admin page going to this database. That is what is different between all of these and my engine room. Right, in my engine room, it looks like that's the core table for the journal and that's for the weeks, that's for the months. It looks the same, except at the bottom I have source tables. And in there, I have replicated all of this stuff and more besides. And they are never, ever touched. So what are these then? If they're the core tables, what are these? These are purely pages. If I open up that and look at the top of it, it says engine room journal. This here is not a core table. It's got an arrow. It's linked to the journal database, which is in the engine room at the bottom under source tables. It's that one. That's the difference. This core table is then pulled through to this page, master page, admin page, maintenance page, call it what you like, because in here I can create as many views as I like. And if I think that view's perfect, I want it on the dashboard, duplicate that table because it's pointing to the original. It is not the original. If you try duplicating an original, by the way, if you do try doing that, you could end up in a situation where you have multiple links between multiple tables, and short version, it's a nightmare. So don't ever duplicate an original table. You can make as many of these linked tables as you actually need. And I have one of these for each bit. So I've got my weeks in there. There's all my 21 weeks. I've got my, that's weeks, hang on. Come on, fast mouse, come on. Months. My months are in there, all with the date ranges, etc. And again, these have got views. So I did my 2021 view, but I've also got all of the months in there. So I've only recently upgraded this to a 2.0 engine room. So in here, for instance, it says table view. That would actually be all. And that will bring in all of those, everything that I've put in there. But at the moment, obviously, I'm concentrating on 2021. What else have we got? We've got quarters in there as well. So all of the quarters are in there. And anything in here, including the years, here's the years, anything in here I can duplicate and use elsewhere. So this is my 2.0 engine room. I've upgraded it. Does that make sense? Or are you all asleep by now? Hopefully Kim's following along. Now, Kim had some questions about days, weeks, months, etc. So if now's appropriate, stick them in. Otherwise, let me know. But a 2.0 dashboard has built-in management views. So I've got time management, task management. Each of these is an individual page. So if you've got an original engine room, this one, the MacBites one, actually, you need to go down a level there. And these are the actual stuff that we do. We've got another layer there, and these are the core tables. But you see now it says master tables. We have one master table in there, but these are the master tables. So if I look at some of these, what have we got here? Suggested content items. They are suggested content items that you guys have suggested, but that is the core table in show production. What needs to happen is I need to create a page. There's a page. And this one would be content items. No, can't spell. Content items. I would choose to make that full width. So let's go into full width. Back to show production. There is my content items. That should be there. And this should be down here. In fact, it should be hidden away inside master tables. Now, at the moment, of course, there's nothing in here. So what you need to do is put in a linked table. And this time I'm looking for content items. So let's put content items in and hope that, oh, it's not doing bad, is it? Right, let's put that in. And that is all of the content items that will go on ad nauseum. There they all are. But the thing in here is I can then start adding views. And another thing I would do is I would put the icon on there, and we want the light bulb. It was that one. And when we go back to show production, was it the light bulb? No, content items, it wasn't. It was the other one. It was the paperclip. Is it called a paperclip? Oh, it is. Good. Right, let's move along. There we go. Got the paperclip. So they do match in terms of that's content items, and it's in there. You could say they're identical, but the difference is anything I do in the page, the database in the page, I can copy elsewhere. This one, just leave it be. Leave it out of the way. Right, Kim. I have an engine room like the shared engine room like you have, and you're trying to convert the original engine room to a 2.0. What's the best way to do this? It gets very confusing to me when you're trying to make dashboards. Okay, and as I get which table is which when trying to convert the dashboard to the new related tables, you don't, well, depends how you've done the dashboard. Right. What I would do with it is possibly put them side by side or do it like I'm doing it here. So this engine room we've got now, this is a 1.0 engine room. So I'm going to upgrade it to show production 2.0. So how am I going to do that? Right. Well, first of all, the databases, the master tables, I'm going to get those right out of the way at the bottom. So they're red, so I know I'm not touching them. And then I'm going to up here to make it easier. Actually, it's not that difficult. Even looking at it's not that difficult. Right, what I would do, these are the MacBites shows. So this is the shows table, the master shows table. It's got all of the shows we've done, including Marooned. So you're there forever with that lot. So that is the core table. All I do with it is move it down here and put it in the master tables. Then I go back to the top and I make a new page. And I call that page, it was shows table or something, wasn't it? So I call it shows. Let's have a look at it. MacBites shows. So I go back into there and I call that MacBites shows. So the page gets the same name as the database. And then make it full width. You add one item to it. You can add as many as you like, but core item you need in here is to add in a linked database. And the database you're looking for is exactly the same name as that. So it's MacBites shows. It picks it up, puts it in, you're done. That's it. At a basic level, that is it. Because you can then go into here and start working with it and totally ignore the one at the bottom. So what I'd do with that is I would add in there was an icon, it was a microphone. So let's put the microphone in it. And that way, at that point, I know that that equals that. Now, my MacBites shows is coming from elsewhere. That's actually the core thing, that one. Why have I got two? That's a page with it in. So that's entirely different. And then these are the content items. Right, the other things that I would then do is rinse and repeat. So I've got my MacBites shows, I've got my content items in there. So I'm moving up what I've done and I've got in here. As I move a master table into here, so let's take suggested content items and put that underneath content items. I then go back and I put a page in, name it exactly the same, and then rinse and repeat. So this one is suggested content items. Make it full with why they can't make this a default is beyond me. Right, okay, forward page. This one, no, I didn't want a page, did I? No, I've just done a page. Let's go back a bit. Hang on. It was a database at this point. Let's get rid of that. So linked, and then find the database. And the database is going to be called suggested content items. Made all the easier because that's what the page is called. And it'll find it in the end unless I've misspelt it. Oh, Notion is having a moment, isn't it? I have spelt that right. I know I have. Let's try content items and see what it comes up with. Yes, but I want suggested. No. No, it's not having it. Sometimes it does that. There is a way to get around it. So let's go back over here. Why is it not finding suggested content items? Because it's in a mood. Right, but if you go to the page and you copy the link and you go back and you go to your page and you paste it in, it will say, do you want, now it's got a link to a page. Oh, hang on, is that the problem? It could already be a page. Let me have a look what's going on. Let's get rid of that. Where on earth are the suggested content items? I've already got a page. Not you. Let's get it from here. Copy link. So that's actually a database. So this should be okay in there. Right, create link database. So if it doesn't come up with it, just create a link database. Go and copy the link and then put it into here. There we go. And then when I've done it, so that's suggested content items, which did have a light bulb. So let's go to it and put the light bulb in. There's the light bulb because we've already used it. Once it's done, drag it down so it's in the right place. So the shows come first, the content items come second, and then the suggested content items. And then I would do the same with these four. These are original databases, which I want to turn into maintenance pages. Right, let's have a look. Oh, good, that's how you did it. Excellent, that's fine. However, on the master tables, I still have different views, like in days, I've got 2000. Is that okay? It's absolutely fine, Kim. The only issue, I mean, it doesn't matter whether they stay there or not. You don't have to delete them. It doesn't matter. You just wouldn't be able to copy those views elsewhere. That's the only thing. That's why it's easier at the time that you create it, like we're doing now, to make sure that as you move forward, if you were looking at like the shows table and there was a view in there, we haven't got a view at the moment, but if we made a view that was after hours, which I have actually done, which I'll show you. So let's say I'm going to make a view that's a table view and it's going to be for after hours. So I make the view, I then need to go in and filter it. So we need a filter on here where the name contains after hours. In fact, it might be better if it started with after hours, but yeah, never mind. Right, that works. We've got all the after hours in there. Okay. What you can then do, if that's the view you want, you can go here and you can duplicate that and send it wherever you want. So once I've got that set up, oh, don't ever copy the master tables, Kim. No, that's when relations appear all over the place. It's because you've got two tables. Table 1 is linked to table 2. No problem. Okay, so far. You then duplicate table 1. So you've got table 1A. 1A is then linked to table 2, and if you duplicate table 2, then you've got 4, and you've now got 4 links, and it will just multiply. So never ever duplicate the original table unless there is a dire need to do it. If what you're trying to do is say those views were perfect, that's why we create the maintenance view from the get-go. So if we look at what I've got in here, I don't think I did that, did I? In, let's say, suggested content items. Yeah, I didn't add any views, so there's no views there. But if I had added a view, so let's say we said open, at that point I've got 2 views. I've got the default view and the open view. So, and the open view is applied. And this is the core table. Not interested. Don't want any views on the core table. So what I would do is then go in and I would delete that, and that would send it back to exactly where it was, because I don't need any views. But if I've got some views on a core table, like the MacBites one, in fact I haven't on that one, have I? On the MacBites one, what we got here? I've got all these views, and that was the problem. That was the problem. There were far too many views. It made sense to have the admin views in a specific place. Plus the fact, annual review 2018, 19, 20, 21, just imagine. There'll be 1 million views. So in here, I've left them in here, but I don't actually need to do it. I don't actually need to leave them in here. So if I was saying like, all by date, I don't need that. So I go in and I would delete it because I'm never going to use it. I am not going to use that in here. I'm not, because it's the core table. Where I would use that is up here, and I would create what view I wanted. Now, not to muddy the waters, Kim, but think it through. Let's use the review of the year as an example. Let's say I want to have a view of the MacBite shows that is all the stuff that we did in 2020. Yeah, 2020. So I want to have a table. So let's actually look at it. I want to have in here a view that shows me all the tables from 2020. All the shows, but I want to have a view for After Hours in 2020 and Marooned in 2020 and so forth. Before you start, there's 5 or 6 views. And then I want one for 2019 and 2018. Now that might come in useful if I'm backfilling or I'm researching. That might actually be really useful to me. And I've got this view and I think, well, I'm going to need to go into here and I'm going to need to have a view for this and a view for that and a view and a view and a view. No, don't do that. Right, let's say that's exactly what we wanted. So I'm going to go into here and say, let's say this is After Hours 2020. Right, I've got that view. And this view is Marooned 2020. I'm not going to make these views. We're just pretending, right? So I'll add another view, and let's say this one is, what else do we do in here? MacBites. Oh yes, remember MacBites. Okay, so MacBites, original MacBite shows in 2020. Right. Why did that not add? Come on. MacBites 2020 and create. Okay, so there we go. There's our 3 views. Now that's neat and tidy, and I can find exactly what I want. I could even go in here and say, right, now let's actually do that by putting in some criteria, and you'll get what I mean. So if we wanted filter, right, we'll add a filter where the name starts with MacBites. In fact, it starts with MacBites 0. Okay. And then I want to say, add a filter where the date, release date is on or after, and I want that to be a specific date, which is going all the way back to January the 1st, 2020, and is on or before the end of the year. So the end of 2020. Right, how are we doing now? Okay, there's the MacBites we had. Right, so I've got my view. The beauty of having this view is I can go in here and duplicate that view. So now I've got a copy of it, but what I'm going to do is have that. It's going to be MacBites 2020, but this time it's going to be a gallery. So I can duplicate a view, change the type, go into there, change the properties. So the card preview is the show art, and boom. Now I've got a pretty thing to look at. Now, let's say I wanted to get to this, right? And I want to see 2021, because we got one show, haven't we? And 2019. Yes, I could duplicate all of this, but then it starts getting messy, doesn't it? Getting messy. So what you could do with your 2.0 is, let's say that this is in the it's going to be in the management section. This is the show production, but we are in the engine room. But you could be in the engine room doing admin stuff. So there's a front end aspect to it, and anything you might want to do in the back end of it. So in this MacBite shows thing here, this is just a page with a linked database in it because it's got an arrow on it. What if we said this is all the this is MacBite shows, but it's actually MacBite shows for 2020. And we go back over here. So we have a page, it's got a linked database in it, and we have these particular views that are all for 2020. And let's imagine that we've actually defined all of these views, and there could be 20 of them. But now we want them for 2021. Oh, darn it. You don't want to put those in here because it's going to get too messy. But because it's a linked database, you can actually duplicate that page. And Notion may or may not have a moment because it's not in a good mood tonight. Go on, think about it. Go on, you can do it. Oh, this is the thing it's struggling with, which is why I didn't dare do the full tour of this thing. Right, in there, what we're going to do with that is say that there, what we want now is 2019. So, in the views, we want this gallery. That's the 2020 gallery. First thing to do with it, because this is 2019, all you need to do is change the name of the view and then change the filter, which is where it says 2020. I'm going to take that all the way back to January 2019, there, and forward to the end December 2019, and now you've got the views for all the shows in 2019. You would update all of these filters, and what that gives you is in your 2.0 engine room, you have the ability to focus on all shows for 2020, all shows for 2019, and so forth. You just duplicate that page as needed. That's why you leave these master tables alone, because you can't do that with those. They're not flexible enough. So this would give you a good way. The kind of thing we do is, like you're writing a blog post about 15 years on a Mac, and you've not got a Scooby-Doo what you did in 2011. Not a clue. So you go back and you can focus on 2011 in there. What events were there? What was I doing with this? What was I doing that? And it gives you like the perfect research environment to work in. Now, depending on what your tables actually contain, you might not need to go down to that level. But that is the difference in terms of having a dashboard and not having a dashboard. So somewhere that I wouldn't have a dashboard would be in here. So this is a MacBites episode. It lives inside MacBites shows. And here's all the meta we need. And actually, that's not in progress. Good grief. We've completed it. Wonderful never says. Right, it's assigned to me because it always is. That's the title. That's the running time. This is the date. These are the links that we need. No chat logs. It's not live. And that is where the recording notes lives. And a note that it's the first show of 2021. Then we actually have the show embedded, and then we have all of the contents for the show. These are coming from a central place, the content items. You can see that because of the arrow, and they are filtered for this show. You know, this was what we did in 136. But when I come to publish that show, these are what I need to do. These are the jobs that I need to do. I need to publish it from Hindenburg. Mike needs to do the show review process. I need to send the mail. I need to do the blog post, I need to do the show notes, and then we do the final process of publishing it, which we've actually done. Now, this table has no arrow on it. This is a core table, but it's so tiny I'm not bothered. This is literally just to give me a list to make sure that I know what I'm doing. Now, you might say, well, you could just have a list, and I did just have a list. But we also, we talked about processes and procedures earlier in the week, where we were updating everything. We need to keep that information somewhere, but we don't want to be overloaded because this is creating the show. We don't want to be overloaded with publishing at this point and be bombarded with it. So if we look inside publishing, there's the instructions. That is how that is published. In fact, in here, I think I did update it. I think I updated the template. So can we see the new one? Can we see the new one? Not on that one, we can't, I don't think. I must have done it on the other one, but I will show you. Oh, how can I easily do that? I know. We'll go into the 2.0 dashboard, which needs taking down a bit, don't we? Right, let's have a look for a future MacBites. Right, what we've got in here, we can create a MacBites or we can create a content items only MacBite. So let's do a proper MacBites. There's a proper MacBites while it has a think about it. Right, and what we've got in here is the publishing down at the bottom. There's the publishing. And in there, I've got the new Hindenburg. So what I did with it was, this time I put, when it was updated, they've done it right this time, I've got the publishing overview there. Then I've got each of these go somewhere and do something. So I've put exactly where they are. I've put an image in. Each one is absolutely perfect. So that is actually the new publishing process as at this point. So this one in here, that was actually what happened with it. So that publishing, that's the old way. Now, can you see the difference? I talked about Smart Notes, Zunka Aaron's Smart Notes book. I documented the process. Oh yeah, of course I did. I did. Honestly, I did. What version's that? What date of that process is it? Not a clue. Didn't put that in. Oh dear. Right, these things. Where are they actually saving to? Well, they're saving there. It's the folder and oh dear, it's cut off. I've no idea. I don't know. I'm going to have to go in and click that button to see when they are. So I updated all of that. Right, the process isn't that much different, but the documentation for it is that is the process as at that date, and I'm copying and pasting these images in and putting the details underneath so I know everything. But all of that is a point in time thing. We don't store all of this in a publishing table and pull it through for episode 136. It's not worth it. You do it, you tick it, that's it. So that is actually one of the very few core tables that we actually have. We could externalize that, but why would we bother? It would just make it complicated. So in that circumstance, we took a decision that we're not going to do that. Another reason that we would do that is if we did what is technically correct, where we have a publishing table, and we hook it into here on the show ID, if we were to change things, fields and stuff that we need in the future, but we didn't need in the past, they're going to be there and they're going to be blank for the old shows and vice versa. If you need to get rid of something that you used to do that you don't do anymore, you can't delete them because they're all in the same table. So for that reason, we took the decision that is a table that's just a very, very basic table, and that's what we'll do with it. But for all of the other things, it's all about systems and systems thinking, really, to think what's the best way to do this. So it covers everything we've done in the past and it can accommodate what we think we want in the future. But this gets changed on a regular basis, as you can see. I even changed some of these, the MacBites mail in here. What I did with it was I put a code block in. That's what the mail needs to be called. And I had that just in text. I literally just had it in there where it says save as and there's a colon, which is there. I had that next to it. It was difficult to copy. What was I thinking? because if it's in a code block, all I need to do is hover over it and copy and I'm done. I don't need to make the selection. So always be refining the processes as you go. So the difference between the 1.0 dashboard, which, oh dear, that needs a big update, and the 2.0 dashboard is the degree of separation between the core tables and a workable management system. And it's worth the time. It is, honestly. Right, Kim says, if you deleted a linked table, would the master table still be okay? I've noticed all the changes that I make in the linked table change the master table. So if you delete a linked table, if you have if you've got, well, depends on the status of the linked table. If I have in here, so let's look at MacBites. No, not comms. Let's look at MacBites. Show production 2.0. Right. Let's get that back to a reasonable size. Okay. If in here, the two tables that are critical as far as we're concerned are the shows table, which is this one. One of these, this is the core table. I don't think that needs to be there, but the core table, shows, is linked to the core table, content items. So if I go into a show, so if we go into, let's go into that one there. The content items table is embedded in that Notion element and it's filtered for this show. So there is a link between them. Right, if you are anywhere else, so where are we here? I'm not looking at Marooned, not that. Where were we? Good grief. No, let's go back in here. Right. If you are in here and you are looking at these two tables, so the shows table, the content items, if you delete the content items, then this will retain the field, but it won't be able to get to it because the data is stored in that table and it would be deleted. However, if I'd made a mistake and I duplicated that content items table and I ended up in this table with two columns linking out to two different databases that are saying that they are the content items, then I could delete one of the content items tables and I could delete the column in the master database. The trick is deleting the right one, obviously. And it's as simple as that. So when you're saying, like, if I deleted a table, if you only have table 1 linked to table 2 and you delete one of them, then the table that's left will have no link and will not be able to get to the data in the other table, obviously. It will break whatever you've set up. It will break it. But if what you've done is inadvertently duplicate a table, a core table, then you can delete the core table that you've created and delete the column that will be created in the MacBite, well, in this case, in the MacBite shows table, because you don't need that anyway. Let me see if I can quickly show you that. Let's add a page and see if we can do that. Right. Let's say here what you've got is you've created a table, an inline table. Right, we're just going to call this table 1 and we will put in, let's put show 1 so we know what we're dealing with. So we've got the show and we're going to put in a link. So we need another table. So in the second table, another inline table, items, let's have this as shows and then we know what we're doing. Right. And in here we've got a content item 1. Right. This needs to be linked together. So if we go in here and we add a column, and in this case it's going to be a relation and it's going to relate to another database. And the database I want it to link to, what did I call it? Oh, if I had, right, items, I called it items. So let's go into there and make it a relation and we're linking it to items. There it is, items and untitled. Awesome. So that's linked to that. Right, so this one here, if I'm searching for it, I've got content item 1. There it is. Now, if I duplicate a table inadvertently, so let's duplicate it, I'm making an exact copy of items We might break Notion at this rate. No, there you go, copy of items. Thinking about it. And that is what generates this extra column over here that we don't want. Now it has to be there because it's done exactly what you told it to do. Let's get rid of all this. You had shows linked with items, but then you duplicated it. So this is now also linked to shows. So your issue is, at this point, okay, I've made a mistake. Right, hang on, what have we got here? The non-master table, the linked table that's on a page, if you delete it, would the master table be changed? No, it should be okay. I'll show you that here. What you would need to do is to delete one of these. And the trick is to remember which is which, or to know which is which, to find which is which. If I delete this table, then I'm going to have a problem over here. But at the moment, it's linked to both of them. So at the moment, it's hard to go wrong with this. You might just need to rename it a bit. This is the table I should be keeping in the middle. But let's say I don't. Let's say I say, no, I'm going to delete that. All right, that's gone. What that's left over here is a bit of a mess. Because over here, I've got a link. That is linked to that. But I've still got this here. And if I click on that, it's going to tell you it's still linked, but it's in the bin. That's because you deleted the database. You've got this table. Make sure that one works. So click on the link. That one looks fine. It's in this table. And at that point, you could delete that column. And that wouldn't particularly break anything because it's still linked to this second table. Now, if what you're saying is, well, what happens if I delete this? So just delete it. It will still be linked, but when you click on it, it will tell you it's in the trash. Now, you do get the opportunity to restore it. All right, so it will take you there, and you could then say restore it. But your issue with that is it's actually in a database. It's a page, but it's in a database. It's in here. So I would, in fact, I'm clicking restore that. There we go. I think it might have done it. It might have done it. Let's go up there. Let's get it over from here, which was untitled, wasn't it? Has it put it back? It doesn't actually look like it has put it back, even though I told it to put the whole thing back. However, it's not saying it's broken either. So although it's not actually on that page, it may have restored it. If it did, I don't know where it put it. Crying out loud, where did it put it? I don't know. I'd be very careful deleting databases. Your best bet is to create the databases and never do anything with those core databases. You use engine rooms and stuff for everything else. It seems to have restored it, but if it has, I don't know where. So has it put it at the bottom of this list? Oh, here we go. It's at the bottom. There it is. So yes, it has restored it, but it didn't put it back where it came from. You would have to drag and drop that manually yourself up into there, and there it is. You are very, very welcome, Kim. Very welcome. It will always put it in the trash, so it doesn't delete something like, oh, MG, it's gone. You can always get it back. So before you start deleting and thinking in here, which one do I delete, which one do I keep, you can always get it back. You just need to track it properly. And don't call things untitled and copy of items. Because if you do get into a mess, it's going to make it even trickier. But yeah, that happened to us, didn't it, Mike, on Brooklands? Where we duplicated a table and it was like, oh, Notion's broken. But it wasn't. It was us. It was us. Right, okay. I'm going to do a part 2 of that where we do actually take the tour. But those were the questions that I got. And I know Kim's been desperately trying to work out about these tables. So that's all sorted as well. And you can see Notion's a bit iffy tonight. It's actually behaved better than I thought it would. Because when Mike was doing his Excel, it wasn't doing a thing. And I thought, this is not good. When you're trying to demonstrate a live system, it is not good. Oh, Kim's going to have a lot more questions about dashboards next week. Excellent, because we'll be looking at dashboards next week. We have a shiny new MacBites 2.0 dashboard. We have the Brooklands dashboard that's been updated yet again. We've got the LMS dashboard. So it's Dashboard Central next week. So that's excellent, Kim. Right, okay. Where are we heading off now? We're heading off with what's coming up. That's where we're heading. Okay, so what do we have coming up? We have next week another show. So obviously we'll do the second half of the tour. Fingers crossed for Notion. If you are inclined, do say a prayer for Notion. because if it's down on Friday, I'm going to have an alternative, aren't I? And that's not going to be Notion. So fingers crossed that Notion's okay. Available on demand, we have Mad March, when we went live every Sunday at 3 p.m. All of them, in virtually reverse order, are available on demand. So we did Bridge, we did the export persona, we did blend modes, and the one that's still ahead, but only just, was tables. People love tables. And the second one, master pages. People love that. And as we announced last week, what's next? It's going to be Mad May. And we are starting with the data merge deep dive. And then we've got 4 sessions that are up for grabs and suggestions are being taken. And my Johnny board, which is on my desk with all the suggestions on, has got lots and lots on it. See you later, Debbie. And Kim highly recommends them all. Excellent. Is this what you were watching at 1.75? I'm impressed. Kim, I am really impressed with that. Don't think I could listen to me at 175, but you never know, never know. So talking of on demand, youtube.com/Elaine Giles is where you will find everything. If you're looking for a previous episode of After Hours, you will find that on the After Hours playlist, which is macbites.co.uk/After Hours playlist. That's logic, isn't it? We are still going live every day with Marooned at MacBites headquarters because we are still marooned at MacBites headquarters. That is where you will find the feed, up to date with about 7 more to go, I think. Getting there. And that is your QR code if you would like to join the Marooned family. All of that is on MacBites FM, and we have an absolute ball. So Kim says no, she's been in Notion all week, rewatching the Notions. Right, we love you guys. If you love us, could you give us a like? It really makes a difference with YouTube. Now, if you want the emails, that is elainegiles.com/VIP. That is where you will get all the ones with the timings in and the intricacies, which don't go to the MacBites list. The intricacies go to my VIP list. But general stuff goes to MacBites, including the fact that there was actually a MacBites this week. They are very rare things, mails that announce a new MacBites. So they are to be treasured, aren't they? That's macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. And we are in Slack, carrying on the conversation. And if you want to join us, it is macbites.co.uk/Slack, all completely free of charge. So don't worry about that. Just need to create an account, log in and chat. It's fantastic. We love it. Right. Oh, Tracy needs it before May. Oh, no. No, I did go through it on a MacBites After Hours. I did. This is going to be like more than one demo. But if you look back through the After Hours, there was a data merge as soon as it came out. I believe it was the first week it came out, so it would have been the back end of February. Right, okay. We've got to wait for Kim now. Kim needs to call it. Don't make any sudden loud noises. I don't want young Jonathan woken up at this late stage. And neither does young Jonathan, because he's a busy boy tomorrow. So I'll wait for Kim. In the meanwhile, I'll switch over to... there's a slight fraction of a difference there. It's hardly worth changing, is it? That's coming to you now from our broadcast software and not PowerPoint. That's why. I'll make sure they match in the future because it's ridiculous. But I'm waiting poised for Kim. So on the scoreboard right now.
There you go. Elaine for the win.
Right, let's get that transferred then. Let's get it across. And it's getting to the stage, I fear, with young Jonathan, that it's read it and weep. But he's going to be a happy boy today anyway. Well, when he sees it. Oh, no, actually, that's today. It's the 10th today. So very good morning to you, Jonathan. There we go. It's all updated. You are very welcome, Tracy. If you've got any questions, you know where I am if you hit a brick wall with it. Ah, that was fun, wasn't it? I'm starving, Mike. Again. How does this happen?
I don't know.
We're eating at strange times. That's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, well, I had fun tonight. Did you guys have fun tonight? I put off the Keyboard Maestro thing until I had enough to show you that was interesting, even if you weren't particularly interested in Keyboard Maestro, which was tricky. But it's all about thinking through your workflows and then improving your workflows. Oh, Kim enjoyed it. When's our vacation over? Well, today, I suppose, because it's a work day. No, it's Sunday. We're back to work on Monday. There you go. Dee's hungry now too. Oh, it was exciting and a bit confusing. Which bit was confusing? There's no Renee. Mike's going to sort you out, I presume, with his VLOOKUP.
Yeah.
VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, those were the days. Now it's all XLOOKUP, but there you go. Oh, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. We'll take a more scenic route next week. We won't get quite so intricate with Notion. We'll do the tour, the scenic tour, but tonight it wasn't behaving itself. It had an issue yesterday, and I think that ran through to Friday, and it was very slow. I'm surprised it behaved as well as it did. But, we built the bulk importer from scratch. So we did the bulk import in 2 different ways, didn't we? Excellent. Right, let me pass this over there. There we go. So in the meanwhile, if you want to get in touch with us, there's all those ways. Probably the website, which isn't even... Oh, well, it is. Yeah, if you use the contact form on the website, that's probably the best idea. Oh, we do need a video of farm shopping. We do. We did get some video of Mike shopping, but there you go. Tracy thinks she needs to watch it when she's awake. Yeah, and it needs probably not to be at triple speed. It needs to be at a reasonable speed to keep up with it. But I tried to put in a lot of demonstrations that showed how I used it, irrespective of whether you use the app I was showing you the thing in. So, I was in PowerPoint showing you how to, and things showing you how to use the, look at the screen and click on it. It doesn't matter what app you're in. If the only way to do something is to click on the screen, then that's how you do it. And now you know that it is capable of doing it. But you still need to sit down and think, okay, how can I speed up my workflow? What is it that I do that's predictable? I press key 1, 2, 3, 5, 9 and 7 and then think, how can I make that better? Like paste and go. Paste and go. Once you get used to that, you'll sit down at a machine that doesn't have it and you'll be like, it's broken. This is broken. And then you think, oh no, I built it, didn't I? I built it. If you put together Keyboard Maestro with all that Vivaldi can do out the box, it's heaven. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Right, well, we better go and get something to eat, hadn't we, Mike, before we all keel over? Because I'm starving. Where did I put that? Oh no, I see what's happening. Strange things are happening, but never mind. Well, we will be back with you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, when we'll be marooned at MacBites headquarters. And then we're going straight into Brooklyn's by request, theme of which is space travel, planets and stars. We've got some cracking songs that have been picked. I couldn't believe, Mike, that I forgot Champagne Supernova. That one got me. It's like Frank picked that and I'm like, oh, I forgot that one. But I have got a couple of classics. One I picked, nobody else did. And it's long as well. It's a good 7-minute song. Good one for a break. There you go. Right, okay. Called You Cardi Lane. I've not seen that yet. Oh, I'm with you. Yes. Yes, unfortunately. Named after me, attempting to getting Kim to spend money. I'm bad, I know. It's all right, I do the same with Graham. I've been doing that with Graham for years, haven't I, Graham? Poor Graham. But you got some good toys out of it. Anyway, we're going to head off now, so I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.